388-72323.
LA filing number 16-7969.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Good morning, everybody. It is 7 a.m. on Monday, December 4th. Today in Baton Rouge, expect cloudy skies with a high of 77. Coming up on OTB, Bill Bender, the Sporting News, joins the show at 7:15. We talk to Ross Jackson of the Locked On Saints podcast at 8:30, and Holden Mayo joins the show at 9 a.m. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 1045 ESPN channel and subscribe for daily content. Hour number one of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
Let we go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert. Yeah! Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, they said I gotta come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, and welcome into OTB here on this Monday morning, and man, do we have a lot to get to. Jacob, Mario, and Taylor here with you. No T-Bob Hebert. T-Bob is, I believe, already in Disney, because if I saw right yesterday, he was filming snaps while he was in the murdered out minivan on his way to Disney. So no T-Bob Hebert today, although as fired up as T-Bob was, there is a chance that he might call in to the show. He wasn't very happy yesterday, just like there was a lot of people that weren't happy yesterday when the college football playoff rankings came out, and obviously we will get to that. And this show every single year is always interesting because, well, when you leave on Friday, there's so many things that happen between then and now, between championship games, Heisman narratives, which we'll certainly get into. You find out who's going to be in the 4-team playoff. And I mean, that's just the surface. I mean, now you throw in the transfer portal. You've got big-time, prime-time quarterbacks going into the transfer portal today, because today is the day. Today is the day that the transfer portal is officially open. So a ton to get to here. We do have Bill Bender in about 10 minutes from now, 15 minutes from now, Sporting News, to get kind of a national look on some of the reaction to the college football playoff. But like we start every single show, let's go around, get a little vibe check. Mario, how you doing?
What's good, Jake? Doing okay. A little upset about the final rankings like you guys are, but we'll get into it. But all in all, good weekend, man. Ready for the week.
Taylor?
Doing a lot better than Florida State fans. It wasn't a bad weekend for me. So I'm here a little bit longer of a day. Got to do some AFR this afternoon, but we're going to power through it.
Did we call any high school football this weekend? Or were y'all off?
Nah, not this week.
Okay.
U-High didn't have the rights. I believe they won, though. Or no, they
No,
lost.
you
No,
got
it was
lost in
St. Charles.
overtime.
Yeah, St.
You
Charles,
guys
yeah.
out?
Yeah, it was. I think it was a really good weekend of high school football, like as far as the games in
Well,
Louisiana.
so Friday night, if y'all remember, we had all that lightning.
Yeah.
Basically, every game in and around Baton Rouge had to be rescheduled for Saturday afternoon. So all those games were finished Saturday afternoon.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Like there was one, I don't remember which one it was, and like they just played the fourth quarter on 4 o'clock Saturday.
That was a Catholic Rumble game. I
Yeah,
believe.
I think it was.
Okay,
Catholic Rumble,
you're right, because I did see Zachary.
Yep.
They played as well in the daytime. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And now I know exactly what's going on here. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get into it. And, you know, if Florida State would have come in yesterday at number 4, probably was going to lead the show today, talking about Oregon and Bo Nix failing to capitalize on the opportunity and basically, you know, securing what should have always happened, you know, which is Jaden Daniels be the front runner in the Heisman Trophy race, and we will certainly get there. Now, you know, that's going to be a big deal for LSU going back to New York and the impact of what that can do for your program. But I think every college sports radio show, maybe even if they don't cover college a ton, is leading with this because it is the lead story. And if you're listening to the show, you probably already know, but Florida State gets left out of the college football playoff. Now, Michigan being 1, okay. Washington being 2, okay. If Washington, honestly, and I'm in the minority here, if Washington would have ended up number 1, I would have had no issue with it. When you look at their resume, look, and I know if you're a Pac-12 hater, you're like, it's in the Pac-12. It doesn't matter what they do out of conference. Pac-12 was good this year. I think we had to give the Pac-12 the credit for what it was. And so, and by the way, they beat Boise State, who won the Mountain West. And so that was one of their non-conference wins. And they've won 20 straight games. So if Washington would have been 1, honestly, would not have had an issue with it. But Michigan goes 1, Washington goes 2, and then you see Texas number 3. Well, Texas, probably deserved to be in the college football playoff. We were wondering, would they be 4 or would they be 3? Because they had the head-to-head against Alabama. Because of what the playoff committee told you, with them being ahead of Alabama the entire time, well, they were going to get in before Alabama. And honestly, as soon as I saw they were number 3, I was like, oh, Alabama's getting in. Alabama's getting that 4th spot. Because I felt like it was going to, if they want to stay true to the undefeated, Florida State, maybe they'll put them at number 3. They put Texas at number 4. But it's like as soon as that happened, you knew something was probably coming across the wire that was going to be a little bit of a controversy. And it has certainly been that. And so you put Alabama 4. And we saw the reaction from a couple of different places. One from Michigan when they found out Alabama was number 4. And then you get the Florida State reaction. And you can understand why every single one of those players and coaches, support staff is highly disappointed. Now, arguing deserving teams, best teams, all the different ways to argue this, we could go 1,000 different directions. And I was at the game in Atlanta on Saturday. I saw Alabama, big boy Georgia up front. That's what they did. The line of scrimmage was Alabama's. So very impressive win. They had the loss. And Florida State did not have the loss. And for me, one of the things that when I look at it, you played LSU in a neutral site game. And it was in the state of Florida, so that helps you out there. We all heard the crowd there. And you dominated in the second half, right? An LSU team that ended up being a top 13 team. You go to Clemson, right? Now, Clemson wasn't Clemson, but you see it on the schedule. You go to Clemson, you get that victory there. And we could go down the resume. But, look, as a former player, to know that this is your schedule, you've got LSU. You got to go on the road to Clemson. You got to play in the ACC, which, look, the ACC was down this year. We understand that. But then you have to go to the Swamp. And I know record be damned, and I know Florida only won 5 games, but you go to the Swamp and you get a victory there. Like, as a former player and as a player that's on that staff and on that team, like, you feel like you did everything that you had to do to get into the college football playoff. You're Florida State, not Boise State, right? You're not directional school you're Florida State. You're not Oregon State, right? If somebody in the Pac-12 years ago would have done it, you're like, oh, I don't know, man. Pac-12's been down for like 5 years. A one-loss ACC team had never been left out. And now you leave out an undefeated. And that's tough. When you see, like, across the country what some of these teams are doing and what the ACC did against the SEC this year, right? They had a winning record. Actually, against the Big Ten and the SEC, they fared pretty well. So Florida State right now, I just never thought that we would see a Power 5 like this, an ACC champion, be left out of the college football playoff for a one-loss team. And I can tell you, covering the SEC championship game, being in the press box, being on the field after, I'd say 90% of the people there thought the SEC was going to get left out. They thought because Alabama beat Georgia that the SEC was going to get left out, and it was going to be the 4 teams that we talked about, the 3 undefeateds in Texas. And so I think a lot of people, even within the SEC, were surprised that Alabama got that final spot. I'll go across the glass here to the fellas. Mario, we'll start with you. Initial thoughts when you saw Alabama gets in, Florida State's out.
I just feel terrible for Florida State. This is somebody who, like you said, did everything right. They scheduled LSU to start the season, national championship contender, win that game. You weather a lot of adversity. You win the last 2 games with backup quarterbacks. This past one with your 3rd string. Go undefeated, win the conference. You still get punished. This is just a part of college football I don't like, I suppose. Just feel awful for Florida State.
All right, Taylor, what was your initial thoughts when you saw it?
Disappointed, but unfortunately not surprised.
You were telling us before the show when you saw that they made it.
So I didn't watch it live. I was out and about a lot yesterday, and then my dad texted me and he's like, Alabama got into the playoff. And I was like, oh hell, they took them over Texas. Like Texas had the head-to-head, and he's like, no, Florida State. I was like, they left out undefeated Florida State. I think that. Unfortunately, the college football playoffs set a troubling precedent yesterday that the regular season no longer matters in college football. I think that's where we're at. And then they're like, well, you got a backup quarterback now. And, yeah, your defense looks good. I heard somebody say, well, they're basically Iowa now. I heard a guy say that. And I'm like, okay, so you loved Florida State. They had Keon Coleman, Benson, Jordan Travis. They had this high-powered offense.
They got Sunday players, yeah.
You lose your starting quarterback. Now you're finding a way to be resilient and win in different types of ways. Win with defensive football. You're showing that you can win in multiple ways. I think that should help you, but it turns out it hurt them, and Bama's in it.
And we know that without Jordan Travis, Florida State is not the same team. And it's in the language. It is in there. It's in the bylaws, if you will, of the college football playoff selection process. And again, going back to, being in a locker room for most of my life and playing for championships. And I played an SEC championship game where our starting quarterback, Flynn was out and Paralleau came in. Paralleau did a great job, wins MVP of that game. And not every situation is the same. I understand that. But just like I said last week, you have 85 scholarship players, okay? It is the ultimate team game. 11 on offense, 11 on defense. And how many times have we thrown a play behind us and we've said, hey, 10 guys doing the exact right thing, and, one guy messes up and it messes up the entire play on offense and defense, right? Remember last year we kind of went through a whole deal. We're showing you coverages, 10 guys playing the right coverage. One guy goes rogue, and then it's 6 the other way for the offense on the other team. Right, so it's the ultimate team game, and you have to be going in the right direction. So for 84 other guys, because of one injury, to suffer, it sucks. It's the only way to put it, right? You feel bad for them. Now, it's the most important position, and Florida State's not the same team. And 2 things can be true at the same time. Florida State can be the most deserving, and Alabama can be the better team, because I think that is the case, right? But still, Florida State did everything that they had to do, that they were supposed to do on their resume, and they get left out, and they're going to be watching the college football playoff. And then they got a game with Georgia. That's a fascinating game to see, how those teams feel, because nobody is talking about Georgia. I mean, Georgia went from 1 to 6, right? 30-game winning streak or whatever it was. They go from 1 to 6 after losing a 3-point game in the SEC championship game in a neutral site, right? So, we've never really seen that kind of fall, certainly for a team that lost by a field goal. So there's so many different ways to kind of break this down. We're going to continue this conversation. We're going to have Bill Bender of the Sporting News join us here when we come back. It is OTB. Hopefully you're enjoying your Monday morning so far. And again, a lot to get to, so stay locked in here to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, just like we tell you every single time that T-Bob is out of town, now's the time for Central Plumbing, because T-Bob's not taking up, all of their time, all of their fleet. And by the way, they got the fleet ready to go. So even if T-Bob was in town, as you see right there on the homepage of centralplumbing.org, they're ready. And they've got the vans stacked on the vans ready to go for your emergency, which you can always call that number, 225-925-8552. Or just if you're looking to upgrade. If you have a home, maybe the main bathroom needs a little loving, a little TLC, a little facelift, if you will. You need a new vanity, shower, whatever it might be. Well, they can come in. Certainly they can handle that. But if you own a business, right, and you've got, maybe you have an entire floor downtown and you have 6 restrooms on this one floor, well, they can come in and they can help you there too, because as I said, the fleet is ready to go. No job's going to be too big for them. Find that at centralplumbing.org. Again, 225-925-8552.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes LUBA a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Step inside an Infiniti QX50, and you'll find a suite of driver-focused features tailored to your tastes. But most of all, you'll find...
Hanniger, join us for the Monday edition of Live at Lunch from the BetMGM Sportsbook at the Beau Rivage in Biloxi. We're recapping everything from championship weekend, and we'll have a good idea on the Heisman. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Monday, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into OTB. Talking college football playoff, and we will certainly get to the Heisman Trophy conversation, but I want to continue that playoff discussion with my guy, Bill Bender of The Sporting News. At Bill Bender 92 is the handle. Give him a follow on Twitter. Bill, always a pleasure. Hope you're doing well today.
Hey, Jacob. How's it going, man?
Nothing going on in college football. No controversy in the playoff. Kyle McCord didn't just enter the transfer portal like we all thought he would. So, Bill, this is one of those days, and oftentimes after championship weekend, the Monday always has a lot of juice. But with Florida State getting left out, I can't remember one that, the entire college football nation, right, is just screaming one way or the other. So, Bill, I'll start with this. When you saw that Alabama got the 4th spot over Florida State, how shocking was it to you?
Not shocking, just not right. And I get we can do the whole exercise of 4 most deserving teams. Florida State did everything they could. And I think the worst part about it is it pins it on Jordan Travis.
Yeah.
The quarterback that got injured. It's like, do you think he planned to break his ankle? And they were judged based on that injury more than going 13-0. However, I do understand why. I mean, they weren't going to leave out the SEC champ. And something that stood out with me that night was when I heard Urban Meyer say they're not going to take Alabama without Texas, I thought, well, they'll probably just end up taking both of them then.
I think the most surprising thing, and Bill, I said it right before you came on, to leave like a brand like Florida State out, right? And it's not Boise State, it's not Oregon State, it's not Arizona State, it's Florida State. Like that also kind of adds to it for me. And I look, we all realize they're not the same team. We all watched the game against Louisville, but they did win the game, right? One of my producers was just saying as well, like they were finding different ways to win games. And I'm never going to take going into the swamp and beating Florida, regardless of what that record is, lightly. Like I know how hard it is to play in that place, and then you find a way to beat Louisville. And it's just, we don't see a team like Florida State not get the benefit of the doubt very often, but also we know who gets the benefit of the doubt every time. And look, those things are earned. I need to put that out there. Those things are earned, and Alabama gets it. I think who it was that got left out also is a little surprising here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hard part is who do you leave out? And the committee didn't have an easy task here. You're either leaving out the SEC champion, which anybody that watched these 5 games over the weekend had to come up to the conclusion that, yeah, that Alabama-Georgia game was the best of the 5 in terms of teams. That felt like a national championship game. Do you leave out the undefeated team, or do you leave out Texas, who beat Alabama? Really tough decision. And I think, as I worded it yesterday, on January 1st, as angry as we might be or indignant with that we are that Florida State didn't make it, those games are going to be pretty good on January 1st. You get Texas, Washington, you get Michigan, Alabama in the Rose Bowl. I can't wait for that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, the brand matchup that's going to be, and again, I think Alabama is a really good football team. I mean, I was covering the SEC championship game. I'm sure you were covering the Big Ten game, Bill, but watching the line of scrimmage, Alabama dominated it. So this isn't even necessarily, what they didn't do. I mean, they went out there and they beat a Georgia team that hasn't lost since Moby Dick was a minnow. And so I understand what they did over the weekend. But, Georgia's another team, by the way, Bill. Like, they go from 1-6. They lose for the first time in forever, in years, and they go from 1-6. And, it's just the conference championship portion of it, but you lose to Alabama by 3 on a neutral site, and you not only drop from 1, you drop from 1-6, and, nobody's really having that Georgia conversation either.
Right. I mean, they definitely had a case, and that's why the committee got away with it because we're going to 12. I honestly believe that if we were still doing a 4-team playoff next year, they would have put Florida State in. I think I'm crazy, but I just think they don't have to live with this as long just because they say, well, the 12-team playoff will fix that in the future, and Florida State can feel bad about it, and we can fall back on the fact that their offense didn't look great without Jordan Travis, and I think that's what they did. And you do get Alabama in there. They are playing well. I'm wondering whether Jalen Milroe will make it to New York. I mean, I filled out my ballot this morning. I think there's a chance he might.
Yeah, talking with people in the press box for the SEC championship game, a lot of people, Bill, were waiting to put that third vote in to see kind of how it played out because of some of the things that we saw on championship weekend. And I do want to go out west with you real quick. You and I have talked about, that game a lot on off campus. last weekend. Different narratives, both Heisman Trophy contenders right there with Penix and with Bo Nix. And then Washington yet again. And I can't define why, because I don't know why. Washington was almost a 10-point dog. It got to 10, and then it dropped back down to single digits. And it's a team, Bill, that has won 20 straight games. They had already beaten Oregon once this year. And I don't care how it played out. They won 36-33. They beat a Texas team in the Alamo Bowl last year. And so they don't look out of place with teams like Texas. And they went out there yet again, and they proved they're one of the best teams in the country.
Right. I mean, it's just they continue to silence the doubters. And you and I just didn't like that line. I picked Oregon to win. And, Oregon did respond and score 3 unanswered touchdowns. But this Washington team keeps answering. And one of the things, for all the attention we give to Michael Penix and the receivers, who are all good, and Jalen McMillan, adds another layer, they run the ball well.
Yeah.
Dylan Johnson was a difference maker in those physical games against Oregon State and Oregon to end the season. And, I mean, this is the first playoff in a while, Jacob, where I feel like any one of these 4 teams can win it. I don't think I've felt like that many times in the last 10 years, where I can actually make a case that, Washington could win this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, the matchups are highly intriguing. You talked about it. I mean, Michigan and Alabama in the Rose Bowl, just a great brand matchup, great uniform matchup, by the way. And just the way that Alabama's playing, we know Michigan, we know their style, we know how they want to win football games. And so I want to get just kind of some initial thoughts on both these matchups, because, I mean, you've watched, Michigan play a ton this year. I mean, you were just at the game a couple of weeks ago. Initial thoughts on that one, knowing how Michigan wants to play, knowing how good their defense is, knowing how they want to run the football. How do they match up with Alabama? What are some of your initial thoughts on that one?
Well, they need this month to get healthy. I mean, their offensive line's beat up. Will Johnson got hurt in the Ohio State game. As much as I'm intrigued by the offense, it's going to be a slug-and-go matchup, because both of these teams have – not Jalen Milroe, but Alabama hasn't run the ball that great, right? Other than Jalen Milroe. And then Michigan's running game sputtered a little bit against Iowa and Ohio State, which had teams that can control the line of scrimmage. So it will come down to J.J. McCarthy and Jalen Milroe making plays against tough defenses. It's hard to pick Michigan in that game. I just think Alabama, with a month and the talent they have, and the last 2 times I've watched these 2 teams play, it's going to be a tough one for the Wolverines. But their defense is really good, too. We'll find out what's changed since the last time they played in the Citrus Bowl, where it was clear that Alabama just had a little bit more talent.
So, Bill, you and I talk a lot of Big Ten when we're on and off campus, and we've talked about Penn State and James Franklin and not being able to get over or through or, beside the roadblocks that are Ohio State and Michigan. And it's a real narrative. And we're, successful seasons because you're winning double-digit games, but you don't get over that. Well, if Harbaugh and Michigan don't win a playoff game again this year, that's a real conversation, right? I mean, you lose back-to-back years in the playoff. Last year, disappointing to TCU. You come back for a 3rd year in a row, and you get there and don't even advance to the national championship. Deserved or not deserved, that's going to be a narrative for that program.
Well, it's a dated reference in a completely different style that they played, but it reminds me a little bit of the Houston Oilers when they used to have Warren Moon. That is a very dated reference. But remember, they never broke through.
Right.
They had some really good teams that they couldn't just get through, and that's
the Bills
definitely
game.
going to follow them. Yeah. So the Bills game. I stopped watching that game and was playing Super Tecmo Bowl with my buddies, and then we turned it back on, and it was tied. So I guess my answer is there is a lot of pressure on them. And speaking of Penn State, I guess somebody has to win that game with Ole Miss between him and Lane Kiffin, and that's a big game for both of those teams.
Oh, gosh. I mean, that game, the Orange Bowl and the Disappointed Bowl, we should say, with Florida State and Georgia, there's going to be some great matchups there for the New Year's 6 games. All right, last one, Washington and Texas. We saw it last year in the Alamo Bowl. Washington wins 27-20. I mean, this one feels like we're going to have a lot of offense I just think with these two quarterbacks, with the way they're playing, feels like it's going to be high scoring down here in New Orleans. Initial thoughts on that one?
Well, people were asking me, why did Michigan choose the Rose Bowl? And I'm like, are you serious? They're not going down to New Orleans and playing that primetime game against Alabama. They're going to go. But, yeah, this will be fun. Both quarterbacks, future NFL quarterbacks. We talked about those Washington receivers. Well, Texas has got some good ones, too. A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy and Jatavian Sanders. There's going to be points in that game. And Washington beat them in the Alamo Bowl last year. And, again, the difference was running the football a little bit, not committing turnovers. So I think Texas wins, though. So these are early predictions, and I reserve the right to change them. But I think we're headed toward an Alabama-Texas rematch, which will be a heck of an infomercial for the SEC, won't it?
Yes, it absolutely would. And that's probably the game, Bill, that we've talked about more than any other game. You know, like we've talked about that game, and at first we're like, oh, well, Texas is back, Alabama's done. And it's been a point of reference every time we've talked about resumes for both teams. And so if we do get that game, it will come kind of full circle. And I think a lot of people would actually enjoy that matchup. So, Bill, you're the best. We appreciate your time as always. I'm sure you have like 97 other hits to do today. So we appreciate you waking up early with us.
I already talked to you and Bobby before 9 o'clock. This is a good day. So thanks so much for having me on. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Bill Bender of the Sporting News at BillBender92. Oh, man. I'm seeing a lot of Washington hate inside the chat, and I do not understand. Y'all, they have won 20 straight games. The Pac-12 has 4 ranked teams still, like in the final rankings. They have 4 teams in the top 25. Washington, who won the league, beat the 5 teams underneath them in the Pac-12, right? They beat Texas a year ago, and I'm not going back to that because last year's not this year. But it just shows you that they've got the Jimmies and Joes to play with a team like Texas. They're not going to be out of place in this game. I'm not calling for them to win right now. We're a long way from predictions. Like, we still have to sort out a lot of different things. They've got a pro quarterback. They've got pro receivers. They have a pro left tackle. They've got a pro running back, right? And they do enough on defense to put themselves in a position to win. Now, I'm not saying Oregon is what a lot of people were telling me Oregon was, because I told you last week I didn't believe that they were that. You beat any team like that, though, twice, that means something, right? I've been in the NFL when the Raiders were poo. They were terrible, awful. And Chiefs weren't that great when I was in the NFL early either. And we would beat them the first time, and the second time would be a dogfight, because it is damn hard to play a team twice and have the same success that you had the first time. So for them to go out there and do that again, well, that means something. So, no, Washington needed to be in this college football playoff. For the people calling for them to be one of the 4 that was out, that ain't it. Because Washington, if you watch them, they did everything that they needed to do, and they've done it for the last 2 years. They finished last year winning 7 in a row. They've won 13 right since then. So, no, this team absolutely deserves to be exactly where they're at. All right, let's get into a little bit more of that game because, well, that game was one that we were all watching to see what Bo Nix did. Now, Michael Penix as well, and I think he changed his position in the Heisman Trophy vote, but we were watching Bo Nix because Bo Nix was the favorite going into that game. What did he have to do to win or lose the Heisman? We'll break it down next when we come back. It's OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, so we've been telling you over the last couple of weeks about the incredible things that they're doing over there for Gordon McKernan and this bike giveaway, 488 bikes, right? And by the way, like different sizes as well, right? So you go in, you sign up at GordonGives.com, you tell them a little bit of information, what size bike, if you were in fact one of the winners. And so go to that website. And by the way, right, that deadline did pass for Alexandria, Lafayette, Lake Charles, Monroe, and Shreveport. But you can find the giveaway dates and times on the website, so you know when to kind of be on the lookout for some of the winners they choose in those areas. But Baton Rouge and Hammond, you have 3 more days. So you have 3 more days in the Baton Rouge and Hammond area to enter. GordonGives.com. Check out @GetGordon. That is the handle on all major social media for more information as well. Go to that website today, GordonGives.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I'm Tom Granick with Gil Martin, Wardo's Po' Boys in Natchez, Mississippi. On behalf of the Granick family, we invite you to run, walk, or stroll in the 2nd annual Rudolph Roll. Held on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, this holiday event will kick off at 8 a.m. on December 9th and will include a 10K, 5K, and 1-mile kids fun run. Along with the race, there will be live music, drinks, and of course, Po' Boys. We're looking forward to an even bigger party this year. For more information, please check out the link on Wardo's Facebook page or scan the QR code. Hope to see y'all there.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time to slip away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted.
Join me for a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Denton Day from SiriusXM's College Football Overtime will join us to talk about the playoff, LSU's bowl prospects, and the Heisman Trophy. Hunt Palmer Show 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Whew, the portal is scorching right now, and we probably knew it would. Again, today is the day that it officially opens up, although I don't really know what that means because we've already had 1,089 players before yesterday, so the number probably went up, enter the transfer portal, and we've actually seen some already commit. But whatever that means that it officially opened, well, it is officially open, and there's some names that we will get to a little bit later on. But let's have the conversation because Jaden Daniels, his Heisman odds, if you were watching him during the Pac-12 championship game, my gosh, there was some movement there. And I was at an event for the Georgia Bulldogs. It was hosted by our guy, Aaron Murray, and I was there with a ton of SEC people, and it was actually kind of cool to see every SEC fan. Now, y'all know me. I am not somebody that chants SEC, just not who I am. I'm like, why in the world would I cheer for schools that directly are, competing with LSU every single day? But it was kind of cool to see everybody in kind of this area watching this game to see if Jaden Daniels was going to be the Heisman frontrunner going into this weekend. Because everybody that I talked to, there's a ton of former Georgia players, and there was from other schools as well, but they were there, and they were wanting to see Jaden Daniels have the odds go in his favor, and they did. It was fascinating to watch it during the game. I mean, I was in Georgia, so I couldn't bet it at the time, but I'm sitting there on DraftKings, and I'm just watching the odds. And I'm watching them kind of go back and forth a little bit. And then when Bo Nix, didn't make the plays in the first half, he has an interception, and you were kind of seeing the game flow. You're like, unless he does something incredible here, this Heisman Trophy is Jaden Daniels. Like, he is going to win this deal. And there was a couple of times I'm like, oh, man, here comes Bo Nix. And they did. I mean, they certainly made a comeback. I mean, you're talking 20-10 at halftime, and it felt like Washington still – had firm control of that game. And then third quarter, 14-0 Oregon. And you're like, uh-oh, here it goes. And even like you're trying to play it out in your head, you're watching a couple of different times where you're trying to put scores on the board before they happen to see what kind of Heisman moment that Bo Nix could have. And when it was a 3-point game, Washington was driving, clock's winding down, Peter Burns turns it to me. He goes, they're going to kick a field goal. They're going to go up 6, and Bo Nix is going to drive down that field. He's going to score a touchdown, and that's going to be his Heisman moment. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, he could have that moment, but still, I mean, there's things that he has missed in this game, turned the ball over. Well, we all know that didn't happen, but still, like, just trying to play it out in your head, you're wondering, how they were going to respond every time Washington did. And for the most part there in the second half, it was a back and forth, but Michael Penix Jr. might have put himself in a different position in this game. He was probably going to be third, a distant third, in the Heisman Trophy voting, and he probably put himself into second, or at least in the conversation. And again, like, we're not allowed to tell you who we voted for until the official ceremony, but the conversations can be had, certainly. And you're talking about, okay, well, who should be 1, who should be 2, who should be 3? And again, there's a lot of people Saturday in Atlanta that were like, hey, I'm holding off on some of my votes because I want to see what happens in this game. And I am in full favor. That's how you should do it, right? That it wasn't due until today. Watch the games over the weekend, right? Because they can be won, they can be lost. And in this Pac-12 championship game, now, Jaden and Bo were pretty even. But Bo Nix was going to have to do something pretty remarkable to go take firm grasp of that Heisman Trophy lead and kind of separate himself. And the odds were going in the other direction. And so, I mean, what did it finish, fellas? I know at one point it was minus 1,400 for Jaden Daniels. I think it's the last that I saw.
Yeah, the highest I saw it was like minus 1,200.
Yeah, so. I saw 1,400 at one time. And, he was plus. But he was plus. I mean, not crazy. Like plus.
He was like what, plus 150, something
plus
like
150
that.
In most books. Plus 120, I think, might have been the best. But I mean, just completely flipped on its head. And at halftime, Jaden went to a minus 200 favorite. And then by the end of the game, again, I saw it up to minus 1,400. So LSU is going to have a quarterback already that was going to be in New York City for the Heisman Trophy ceremony. And now he is the, without question, front runner. And just having conversations over the weekend, I mean, I didn't have one person that was trying to make an argument for anybody else. I mean, what Jaden Daniels did this year was appreciated by all of college football. It wasn't just the SEC guys that I'm having these conversations with. I mean, it's everyone that was there to cover Georgia, Alabama. And obviously they knew where I played football, and so they wanted to have that conversation. And so now LSU has a fantastic opportunity to have 2 Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks in a 5-year span. Just think about that. If I would have said that out loud in let's just 2014. If I would have said they had a Heisman winning quarterback in 2014, much less 2 in a 5-year span, y'all would have, taken me somewhere to check on my thought process, right? You have to build off this, though. You have to take a Heisman winning quarterback and build momentum, not only at that position, but just team success moving forward. In 2019, you were the highest of highs of all of college football that I had ever seen. But you didn't parlay that into success in the next season. You're 500, right? These moments do not come very often. When they come, you have to take them and you have to build off those moments. So that's the challenge for LSU. And by the way, we hadn't gotten to the bowl game yet. We're going to play Wisconsin in the artist formerly known as the Outback Bowl, and we're going to talk about it. It's a very winnable game for LSU. Now, if Jaden Daniels plays in that game or not, I don't know. Malik Neighbors has said, weeks ago that he was going to play because he wants the all-time record. You still have a lot of advantages against Wisconsin. I watched them play a couple of times this year. You have advantages across the board against them. So getting to 10 wins, having the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback has to go into a mode where you parlay that success into success in the next year, right? You have to bring in these quarterbacks now that understand, hey, if you come here, you can win a Heisman Trophy. You have to start to get some of those quarterbacks, and they are, right? We've talked about it. In the next year's class, the number one quarterback in the country, a lot of people think he's an LSU lean. So you're doing those things. But don't waste this opportunity. Don't waste having this generational run of quarterbacks. 2 quarterbacks that are like doing things that haven't been done on a football field. Okay? Parlay that into team success. Now, I know that's just one side of the football. We've got to get to the defensive side of the football, and we'll certainly do that here on today's show. But you have to have more than what you got out of this last time. When you did what you did in 2019, you knew it was going to be difficult because of all the things you were losing, all the players. You set the record for NFL draft choices at the time. So you realize that. That doesn't mean you can't go be competitive. It doesn't mean you can't go win something. Certainly now, right? We've talked about it 3-4 times already. The portal opened today. You have to be able, like if I'm a receiver, and there's a slew of receivers, there's 5 guys that are Sunday players in the portal right now. Okay? You just had a tandem that was as cool as anybody in college football in 2019. You got another tandem that's as cool as anybody in 2023. 2 Biletnikoff semifinalists, right? So you should have advantage at that position as well. But you have to take that advantage. You have to move with that advantage and go turn it in to having 2 guys that are in the portal right now that want to come play receiver at LSU, because in 19, those 2 guys, arguably 2 of the best 5 receivers in all of football, right? Now you got 2 that are about to be first-round draft choices, right? Use those things to your advantage. And for so long, and this is multiple staffs going back, so I'm not just picking on one staff. For so long, it just felt like you never capitalized on the things that you had going into the next year. And that's the difference. It's the difference between being a great program and an elite program, right? So I want to see some of that transfer portal news come LSU's way, because it should. You have the blueprint. Do you want to be a top 5 NFL receiver? Come to LSU. You want to be a Biletnikoff semifinalist? We got 2 of them, right? Come to LSU. You have to be able to do that, and going to be fascinating over the next couple of days, because, again, these names are coming fast through the portal. If LSU is able to, in fact, go do that, go get some playmakers, even quarterback. We talked about it. Go bring somebody in. This is Nussmeier's job. Go bring somebody in to compete with him, though. All right, we're going to take our last break of hour number 1. Just a couple of reminders. We've got Ross Jackson joining us at 8:30. Got to talk about the Saints game. Man, ebbs and flows in that one. Almost turned it off territory when it got to 21-0. They fought their way back, but it wasn't enough. So we'll cover the Saints. We got more college football news. We got to talk about the bowl game LSU's going to, some of the other matchups we've got in bowl season. We'll do it all here on OTB.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Sandigrove, join us for the Monday edition of Live at Lunch from the BetMGM Sportsbook at the Beau Rivage in Biloxi. We're recapping everything from championship weekend, and we'll have a good idea on the Heisman. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Monday, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Ooh, Merry Christmas, Christmas comes this time each year. There's a tale about Christmas that you've all been told, and a real famous cat
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in. OTB, quick segment here. How do we feel about the bowl game? I'm kind of a little mixed reviews. A lot of people excited because very, very good chance to get to your 10th win. Wisconsin, 7-5, hasn't done the explosive things in the dairy raid that they were hoping. You get to go to Tampa, so not a bad spot to be on New Year's Day if you're going to play in a bowl game. A very winnable game, but feels like LSU deserves to be in a better spot against an unranked team. Seems a little weird.
I don't hate the bowl game. But I'm someone who loves every bowl game. You get to see
I love
funky
bowl games.
matchups.
Yeah.
Look, you get to go to Tampa. You're familiar with it. You've played well there for the most part. I get it. I've seen a lot of people being like, LSU deserved better than this. And, if I'm being objective, I'm like, yeah, they probably did. But it's like, you win more games, you get a better bowl game.
Oh, for sure.
That's where I'm
I
at.
was even thinking about more opponent than the actual game. The game's not bad at all.
We saw it a couple of weeks ago. It was like everybody projected LSU was going to this bowl game. But like 4 of the 5 people were like, oh, you're going Notre Dame.
Everybody
That's
thought
who
it was
you're
Notre
playing.
Dame. I was, and then that would have had some juice.
The other team, I don't remember who it was.
Well, you have 3 Big Ten teams in the New Year's Six are playoff. You have 3 SEC.
3 SEC.
In the New Year's Six are playoff, and that's what obviously did you in there. So, I don't know. The opponent, again, winnable game, which is good. Get to that 10th victory for LSU. We'll be back. Hour number 2 of OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Good morning, everybody. It is 8 a.m. on Monday, December 4th. Today in Baton Rouge, expect cloudy skies with a high of 77. Coming up on OTB, we talk Saints with Ross Jackson of the Locked on Saints podcast at 8:30, and Holden Mayo joins the show at 9 a.m. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 1045 ESPN channel and subscribe for daily content. Hour number 2 of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz at Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
Let we go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, and welcome back in. Hour number 2 of OTB. Jake, Mario, and Taylor again. No T-Bob Hebert. I think this is going to be, it feels like every year a week that he takes a vacation. Last year, this year, you know, he just chooses a bad time to take a vacation. I'm going to be honest with you, because, like, if you take a vacation, like, do it when there's, like, that purgatory couple of weeks where there's, like, no sports.
Yeah.
I mean, to take it when, like, the show just writes itself, it's a bold move. It's a bold move by T-Bob, and I'm sure he is as happy as anybody right now. I bet you, because, you know, he's an hour ahead, 9 o'clock. He is already in Epcot right now, 3 beers deep.
Yeah, he's an early riser. He seems like the kind of guy that, like, wants to go before his family's ready, and they still want to sleep a little bit.
Yes. And he loves the beers at Epcot.
Look, they've been disappointing. T-Bob's been critical. He loves Disney. Odds of T-Bob actually watching a second of yesterday's Saints game, I think it's a low.
Yeah.
Now, he was on the road, too.
I think it's a low.
He was on the road.
So he may have been listening to it, though, if he was on the road.
I don't know, with kids. Like if you're listening to, maybe he has AirPods because he lives with those.
Yeah.
In. That's a tough deal, though. You got AirPods. You got 3 kids in the car. I mean, Caitlin's, you know,
I think it's
like,
low.
hey, bud.
I think it's low.
Take the AirPods out, right? Engage here. We need you. The family needs you here. So maybe not. He was texting a little bit throughout the Saints game, and so we'll see. I'm surprised he hasn't just cold called into the show. He was so fired up about Florida State, and a lot of people are. It's what we started the show with. It's going to be the conversation certainly for the next couple of days. I don't know. I don't want to say weeks. Now, we'll get brought up here and there, but, I mean, this week it's going to dominate every single national show and really every show that talks college football, and the fact that Florida State did get that last kind of screw job there before we go to 12 teams. Like the 12-team playoff, by the way. Good gosh, if we would have had it this year, you're talking about brand on brand. And we know that, you know, Liberty would have got the 12 seed because that top group of 5 there, but this would have been a great year for that. And before we get to some other things, I did see some questions in the chat, and I also got this tweeted to me. I'm trying to find out who tweeted. I can't find it right now, about choosing who goes where. Remember, the top seed, the number 1 seed, they choose what destination they want to go to. So Michigan had the choice. Do you come down to New Orleans, or do you go out west to the Rose Bowl? Now, remember, the Rose Bowl in the Big Ten, even before they had West Coast teams, has always been, you know, a partnership. Big Ten champion, you know, goes out to the Rose Bowl. And so there's intrigue there, but also you're not coming to New Orleans to play Alabama. That ain't going to happen. That was never going. Just like if Washington would have been the 4 seed, they probably would have come to New Orleans then. Maybe not, but probably so. You choose where you think you could have the best opportunity for your fans to get to, and also the hardest path for other fans to get to. Like this Sugar Bowl, even though Washington's the 2 seed, there's going to be a lot of burnt orange in that crowd. Now, Washington fans will travel. This is their opportunity to see their team, the best chance they've had to win a national championship since the early 90s when they won their last one. They are going to travel. There's going to be a lot of burnt orange. Austin and New Orleans, not that far away from each other. So Michigan, if they were going to play Alabama or if they were going to play Texas, they were not coming to the Sugar Bowl. So that's why they decide to go out west, and it makes all the sense in the world. And again, that matchup, it's not right? It's not right. It probably should be somebody else, but Michigan, Alabama, in a historic stadium, historic programs, historic classic uniforms, head coaches that are polarizing. You got the GOAT in Nick Saban. You've got Harbaugh, who's got more issues than Bogue this year just being on the sideline. He's missed, 6 games? His assistants have had to be the head coach. That one right there, it's got everything that the TV execs, right? And I know there's a lot of people saying, yeah, that's why they're in the game, that the TV execs and everyone that's covering that game, putting resources into that game would want. I mean, right? I mean, there's no other matchup that would probably provide them with what they're going to get with Michigan and Alabama.
Well, and the Rose Bowl. I mean, we were talking about it during the break, right? Like you were like, oh, 2 classic uniforms, like teams that have never changed their look. Alabama still has the damn number on the side of their helmet. The Rose Bowl, the old historic, like that is a media just dream, and we're gonna get it. I'm excited about it. I don't like either team, so it's going to be tough for me to pull for one or the other, but I'm going to watch it nonetheless.
Y'all know, and this is inside the chat, by E4 chat, y'all know Alabama deserved to make the playoffs, so bias, the point spread, Michigan -12 against FSU, probably even against Bama. Look, there's no bias here. I mean, when you look at, LSU played both teams, by the way. Not a lot of LSU fans cheering for Florida State after what they've done to LSU the last couple of years. Now, Alabama is one of the 4 best teams in the country. 2 things can be true at the same time. But let's not act like Florida State doesn't deserve to be in the college football playoff as well. Like, the matchup would not have been as good. I realize all the points. And if Alabama would not have lost to the team in Texas that was right there on the edge as well, I think that team in Texas, if they didn't beat Alabama, they would have been left out. But they had the head-to-head. So when I look at this, right, I'm looking at this from a former player's perspective. And maybe I'll throw it to the fellows across the glass here, because maybe I'm too biased in this thought process. If I'm a Florida State player and I see what's on my schedule, okay, I see LSU in Orlando, I see in the other Death Valley in Clemson, and I see in the Swamp at the end of the year, and I know there's going to be, maybe a test or two in the ACC. Certainly when Duke played them, they were a different team before Riley Leonard's injury, and he went out for the year. Every offseason narrative when I'm working out in the 4th quarter program, when I'm getting ready for LSU again, and LSU had a lot of preseason hype, right? Anywhere you look, top 8 football team. And I go undefeated in that schedule, I absolutely think 100% that I'm in the college football playoff. I'm Florida State. I don't mean to keep picking on Boise State and Oregon State and Arizona State and all the other states. It just kind of comes to mind. I'm Florida State.
Yeah,
I'm the brand in the 90s that was as cool as anybody. I am a team that's won a national championship not that long ago. Right? We were one of the pillars of college football for a long time. I mean, when Bowden was the coach there, they were top 5 like every year I was growing up. Just that's who they were. So that, like, all the factors that play into it are the surprising thing. There's no shade. I watched Alabama, big boy Georgia, big boy them. Right? I was talking to Zach Mettenberger, who's now an Alabama coach, and we were talking about it after the game. Right? And he's like, yeah, man, I didn't know we'd get that kind of push. And they did. So this isn't a slight to Alabama, but Alabama had the opportunity to go undefeated, and they didn't. All right? And the only things to play out to keep them out was the fact that Texas was the reason that they had a loss there, and Texas had done the same things that they had done. Right? So it was going to be unfortunate that team couldn't continue to play. Right? But that's the way that it goes sometimes. Them's bees, the breaks. Okay? And so I can still appreciate what they've done, but when you're a brand like Florida State, you don't ever expect to get left out of the college football. Again, a 1-loss ACC champ had never been left out of the college football playoff. And you say, well, that was Clemson, and that's why. Well, yeah, because Clemson had built up the benefit of the doubt. They had earned that right. They became one of the standards of college football, and so they weren't going to get left out. And Florida State last year, what they did, you felt like they were creating that foundation to be somebody that had created enough benefit of the doubt to get in. So the arguments, I understand both of them. I do. But as a former player, knowing that I had that schedule, it'd have been like, in 2007, I know we lost 2 games and we ended up winning the national championship. But like if we would have went undefeated in that schedule and we would have beaten a top 10 Virginia Tech team and gone through the SEC and done all those things, I don't know what I would have done. I was shocked that the reaction wasn't greater from Florida State. You had some guys just kind of duck their head. I don't know. I would have been flipping a table over or something.
The Jordan Travis tweet was pretty powerful, talking about he wished he
you
broke
have
his
that
leg.
in front of you?
Yeah, I can pull it up.
Pull
really
it up
quick.
in front of you.
Yeah. He said basically, I wish I would have broken my leg sooner. That way they could see what this team could do. And did everybody just forget about Ohio State 2014, Cardell Jones?
Yeah.
That is a thing that happened. College football is a screwy sport. I can't believe I have to explain this to people.
And also, Rodemaker didn't play in the ACC championship game. And so if you're just watching that Florida State Louisville game and you're like, oh man, this is awful. It was a third string quarterback, a true freshman in his first start. That wasn't the backup. That was a third team guy. And so, look, there's a lot of ways that we could go back and forth in this. And I know it's a very unique situation. But this is a Florida State team that did everything that you told them they had to do to get into the CFP. And now there's 2 teams. Right? There's 2 teams with 1 loss that got in ahead of them. So, Mario, go ahead and you got that Jordan Travis?
Yes, at Jordan Trav 13, devastated, heartbroken, and so much disbelief right now. I wish my leg broke earlier in the season so y'all could see this team is much more than the quarterback. I thought results matter. 13-0, and this roster matches up across any team in these top 4 rankings. I'm so sorry, go Noles. That's pretty powerful, man.
It is, and again, ultimate team game, 1 guy goes down, and now you don't get a chance to play in the college football playoff. And how they handle this situation is going to be fascinating, right? They get an Orange Bowl opportunity, still a great game, against Georgia. They are there against Georgia, and there's going to be a lot on the line in that game. And if you go out there, and I don't think it's going to happen, but if you go out there and let's say you beat Georgia by 10. Let's say Georgia has a slew of players that decide to opt out of the bowl game and you beat them by 10, then what's the narrative? What's that conversation going to be like? Right? And you're going to have a lot of Florida State fans that are just asking the question, why did we get left out? Look at what we did to Georgia. So this thing's not settled. It is not settled yet, and that's why a 12-team playoff cannot get here fast enough. And by the way, if you're an LSU fan, in the year that you had, depending on who you talk to, it was a good year. Some are a little disappointed. I'd understand both. You were right on the verge of a 12-team playoff. You would have had to move up 2 spots from 13 to 11. You were right there on the verge of it this year. In a year in which you lose 3 games, you were on the verge. You would have been in a 12-team playoff, right? And LSU down the stretch, in the Alabama game, they certainly had moments. They were playing well, right? And so you get on a heater down there at the end of the season, and it's going to just change. It's going to change college football as it should. You're going to have teams like an LSU, like a Mizzou. Who in the hell would want to play Mizzou right now, right? With what they're doing. They play Georgia incredibly tough. They're driving with the ball down 6, and you have a bonehead play where you throw it straight to a nose guard, and it changes the narrative of that game. But last year was Washington winning 7 games in a row. This year there's a bunch of different teams playing well at the right time. Alabama's certainly one of those teams, even though they needed a 4th and 31 miracle against a 6-6 Auburn team. So
is it funny that no one mentions that play? Because what did the committee say? Well, without Jordan Travis, they've struggled. They struggled on Saturday with their 3rd-string quarterback. Last week, I watched Alabama struggle with a 6-6 Auburn team with Jalen Milroe, their starting quarterback. So you can say, Florida State's winning, but they're not looking good. Did Alabama really look much better?
Alabama beat Arkansas by 3.
Yeah.
Right? Barely win the Iron Bowl. My biggest gripe with the playoff committee, they pick and choose what they want to point out.
Yep.
It was the same thing with Oregon. They were in love with Oregon. They had the Joneses for Oregon. Oregon was that partner that they wanted so bad and they couldn't be cool enough to get. And they just kept telling us about how great they were. And their best win at the time was against Utah. And a lot of teams in the Pac-12 had beaten Utah. And they just kept telling us over and over again. And then Vegas falls in love with Oregon. And like, guys, like, what do we like? It's just like the committee was picking and choosing what they wanted to point out. And the same thing here. They want to talk about Florida State without Jordan Travis, but they don't want to talk about the other close games that Alabama had. They just didn't want to have it. Didn't want to have that conversation.
Well, not only that, like, it doesn't matter now because Texas got in as well. But, I mean, if Travis doesn't get hurt, there was people that wanted to leave Texas out, even though you had the head-to-head. And what did they always say? Well, Alabama will have the best win over Georgia, which is true, and they have the best loss. I'm not sure that's true, Jake. Like, you have the best loss in terms of you lost to the best team, but I think where you lost and how you lost matters. You look at Texas, their one loss was by what, 5 to Oklahoma at a neutral site. You lost to Texas by double digits at home.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Alabama did have the best loss.
Let's also remember Texas took a knee in the red zone, up 10, could have scored more points.
Jake, they could have won by 17. I mean, in that fourth quarter, they could have named their score, basically. They took their foot off the gas, but they're like, well, they have the best loss. When they lost to the highest-ranked team, Texas lost at neutral site by single digits with 18 seconds left to play. Alabama got bullied in that game by double digits at home. Like, I still think Texas, but again, like you said, they were picking and choosing. They're like, well, Alabama's got the best loss. I don't think so.
And needed a miracle finish to beat Auburn, like we mentioned, and struggled against Southern freaking Florida. Like,
I got bullied by Southern Florida, South Florida, sorry, for a little bit.
You can't just choose to apply the context you want. You gotta,
and that's my issue. And all of that ish goes away next year. Well, most of it, because you have a 12-team playoff. By the way, last point before we take a break, we got to get to the New Orleans Saints and what happened in the Superdome. Texas and Alabama both move up 4 spots, the most movement we've ever seen in the final rankings from where they were before championship weekend to after championship weekend. Also, Georgia falls 4 spots, which is, if I'm Kirby Smart, right, that's tough. That is tough. But when you look at it, and a lot of people asking, why did Texas get in and not Georgia? Texas beat Alabama. You lost to Alabama. And that's the one that they're going to use time and time again. Again, man, this is it's fascinating. It's frustrating for a lot of people, and it's going to be a conversation that just continues to grow legs in different branches. And just how these teams kind of respond that got left out. Georgia being in a spot where they were trying to do something that nobody had done in the AP era, win 3 straight national championships, and it's just so damn hard to even get in that position. So, all right, a lot to get to. Again, we got to get to the New Orleans Saints, a disappointing loss because you felt like, God, that game just flipped on its head after you're down 21-0. You have all the momentum. We're going to hit that when we come back. Also going to have Ross Jackson join us in about 15 minutes from now. Stay locked in here. It is OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Step inside an Infiniti QX50, and you'll find a suite of driver-focused features tailored to your tastes.
Join me for a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Denton Day from SiriusXM's College Football Overtime will join us to talk about the playoff, LSU's bowl prospects, and the Heisman Trophy. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Man, it doesn't show signs of stopping, and I brought me some corn for popping. The lights are turned way down low. Let it snow, let it snow.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in OTB. I know we've talked a lot of college football here in the first hour and a half of the show, but let's go ahead and get into some NFL and New Orleans Saints talk. And, of course, here in hour number 2, this segment brought to you by Skull Axe Throwing. Go see them off of Lee Drive right next to Mike Anderson's. Go have a great time. And like we always tell you, I mean, so many different groups can have fun, date night, girls night, boys night, whatever it might be. Go have some fun. Go drink a couple of cold pops. Go have a great night there over at Skull. You can go to that website, right, gcaxe.com for more information. Kind of gives you an idea. If you want to have like a 2-hour event, right, you can reserve some situations over there and have a great time. Again, co-workers, family event, whatever it might be. Also just a general admission. Hey, right, Mario sometimes likes to go throw axes by himself. And if you want to go do that, well, you can just walk in, buy a ticket, and go throw some axes by yourself as well, although Mario doesn't usually do it in the same location. All right, let's get to our New Orleans Saints discussion. We're kidding, by the way. All right, how do we feel about this one? Because a lot of the things that we wanted to see from the New Orleans Saints, well, we kind of saw some of the improvements. Now, the first pass of the game for the Saints, an interception from Derek Carr, and I'm like, oh dear God, what is going to happen here? And then it got 21-0. the Lions had a short field because of some turnovers, and it just looked like it was going to be an avalanche, and it was going to be 45-0 or 45-3, and it wasn't going to be competitive. And I credit the Saints for fighting back. They fought like hell to get back into this game. They lose 33-28 to the Detroit Lions. Look, David Carr came back and played much better after the interception. Now he gets injured, gets landed on. You end up getting a penalty there. Jameis has to come in. But there was times where I felt like there was improvement. Was it perfect? Absolutely not. But there was improvement. Look at the tail of the tape. First downs, 23 for the Saints. Only 18 for the Lions, right? You ran more plays. You were more efficient on third down. You're 6 of 12, 50%. Let's ride. That's good. Detroit was 6 of 13. You look at some of the other, you look at the passing yards, right? Detroit, high-power passing attack, got a lot of weapons, and you had more passing yards. You had more total yards than they had. You ran the football pretty decent, right? Certainly for the way that you've been running the football. When you look at the penalties, you both had 6 there, but one of the stories of the game is you did have the 2 turnovers. Because even in the red zone, y'all, in the red zone, the Saints, 4 for 4. They were so awful in the red zone, I would have taken 2 for 4. I would have celebrated 2 for 4. They were 4 for 4 in the red zone. And it's the reason they got back into this game. It's just, gosh, this one felt like, fellas, I don't know if y'all, had a chance to watch. I know Mario did, but the game flow and how this game went, it just felt like in the second half, certainly in that third quarter where the Saints dominate, they outscored the Lions 14-3, and you get the ball back and you're feeling so good. You even get the luck. And, hey, I don't even remember who was on the game. We get it. Jameis experience. Say that one more time during the broadcast. My God. And I realized what that play was, where it gets tipped and it goes to Olave. It was a bad pass. 2 guys for the Lions had a chance. But when that kind of play goes your way, you think it's going to be your day. And the Saints just fall short. It drops them to 5-7 on the season. The Falcons get a victory. So now you're looking up at the Falcons within the division. Now, this was going to be the toughest one. We said that, right? We said that this was the tough game. Everybody else, you were going to have a chance to go out there, be victorious because of your schedule. It lined up to make a hell of a run. But, my God, you wanted this one. My gosh, it was right there. You felt like having the comeback. The things that were going your way, we've seen games like this, right? They get out to a big lead, and they're not able to hold you off, and not only hold you off from making it close, but from, you winning the game. And this one will be a tough one. It will be a tough one because you felt like at the end of the game, you did exactly what you had to do. And y'all know this. You have to spend so much energy to get back into a game like this. And when you don't end up with more points than your opposition, man, those last until like Wednesday and Thursday of the next week.
Yeah, especially at home. They get off to these terrible starts at home every single game. That's why I'm a little less encouraged by the fight. Like, you're supposed to fight. You make a lot of money. You make adjustments at halftime. That's to be expected. But in 4 home games this season, the Saints have been outscored 69-30 in the first half. Like, you're constantly playing catch up. And the one positive maybe for the Saints this year has been that they're plus in the turnover margin, right? But you're -2 yesterday, and 2 just terrible turnovers. Like, I've never seen a guard pull right into the quarterback and basically force a fumble like James Hurst did yesterday. And then the Juwan Johnson interception, everybody's blaming Juwan, as they should. It was in his hands and it got picked off. But Michael Thomas tweeted about it. Nick Underhill tweeted about it. A.T. Perry was wide the hell open on the corner route on that play. Like, easy touchdown. And Derek Carr he's had good moments. He hasn't been all bad, but he's been missing a lot of those. And that's why the crowd was booing the hell out of him yesterday. So, yeah, I guess it's nice that they came back. I thought we at least had a good broadcast. It's exciting, which it has not been every week. Yeah. But kind of to be expected, this loss, unfortunately.
It's one of those things where you're like, I was encouraged and discouraged because we talked about it in the break. You did everything that you wanted to see improvements. We're like, well, if they improve in the red zone, they're going to win these games. If they're able to run the ball, they're going to win these games. They did those things. But you mentioned it. You dig yourself into a 21-0 hole, and then the first offensive play of the game is an interception. That's bad right there. Like, you know. And then the second turnover, like Mario mentioned, I've never really seen anything like that. But you give them short field multiple times when you're already losing the game. That was an issue there. Also, the Saints' ability to stop the run has gotten really bad. It's a legit problem now. It's been 3 or 4 weeks in a row now, And when you're losing the game, like you were with the Falcons, like you were with the Lions, you dig yourself in an early hole. When you were losing the game and you can't stop the run on defense, it's almost impossible to win these football games. And that's what we've seen the last 2 weeks. So while you have these improvements on offense, while you've seen these things and you're like, hey, that's something to build off of, there's a lot to fix on the defensive side of the ball now, because for a while now, the early half of this season, you're like, oh, the defense is carrying this team. The offense can come around and be average. You're going to win a lot of these games. The defense has taken a step back. I mean, whether a lot of people want to admit it or not, like the pass defense has been okay at times, but that run defense is a big issue.
And for so long, it was the best run defense in the league. I mean, they just didn't allow a 100-yard rusher. It was something that just wasn't going to happen against the Saints. And you're right. I mean, Detroit certainly had success running the football. They outgained you on the ground. It wasn't really even close. And Detroit's a good rushing attack. They spent money on the offensive line. They have a first-round running back. Montgomery's been a nice addition as well. But, yeah, the Saints giving up the yards on the ground has certainly been a story over the last couple of weeks. And so, gosh, you feel like they're getting to that point where it's like, okay, they're doing some of the things that we needed them to do to be, competitive in these games. Do they just not have it? Or are they just a team that's right there on that edge of being relevant, but they can't find a way to get over that hill and get over that bump and be that team that can get into the postseason and, make you believe that they not only can get in from a bad division, but they can be competitive in the postseason. And we'll break it down more. Of course, me. I've got the Pro Football Focus grades pulled up, and they tell a story that you probably already knew, but we'll have that for you. We've got Ross Jackson, Locked On Saints, joining us. We'll actually do that when we come back here. It is OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to K2ZBlinds.com, K2ZBlinds.com. I am fired up because I told you they came out a couple of weeks ago. They measured my backyard space there. We've got kind of this cutout where we've got the outdoor TV. We've got kind of the outdoor kitchen space for us. But, sometimes like the sun and the way that it sets on there, certainly around dinner time, if you're trying to cook in the outdoor kitchen, it's brutal. In the summertime, it's incredibly hot. Even if it's not the summertime, you've got the sun coming in. I mean, it's blinding you. You can't even really see the outdoor TV there. We've been trying to find, something that would fix that problem, and K2Z has done that. They came out, they measured my space. It was like a 5-minute process, and Brandon knew exactly where the sun was going to set and what kind of shade I needed. I thought I was going to get like the same shade and just keep bugs out. He goes, no, you need one that's going to keep the sun out as well because of the way the sun sets. And all I got to do is I walk out, I push a button, it drops down, and it solves every issue I have. They're going to do it for you as well. K2ZBlinds.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
We're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The best kept secret in town is out.
Hannigriff, join us for the Monday edition of Live at Lunch from the BetMGM Sportsbook at the Beau Rivage in Biloxi. We're recapping everything from championship weekend, and we'll have a good idea on the Heisman. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Monday, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Here comes Santa Claus, right down Santa Claus Lane. Vixen and Blixen and all his reindeers pulling on the reins. Bells are ringing, children singing, all is merry and bright. So hang your stockings and say your prayers, 'cause Santa
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into OTB. Very excited for this next conversation, as always. Ross Jackson, our guy locked on Saints Network, joins us now to talk about yesterday's tough defeat to the Detroit Lions and what's next for the New Orleans Saints. Ross, always a pleasure, man. We appreciate you joining us.
Hey, buddy. Glad to be here, dude. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, I apologize that it's just me, like Mario said when he
Just
called you. He
Jake.
said,
Oh,
hey,
my goodness.
it's just Jake. No T-Bob today, so I do
Oh,
apologize.
man. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Actually, I'm sorry to you, man. Jeez.
I know.
What a workplace environment.
I know. I mean, it's tough. It's tough out here in the streets, Ross. Hey, just like it was tough, unfortunately, in the Superdome when the clock hit triple zeros. That game, it's tough to describe, and you don't have these very often in the NFL where you get down by 21 in the snap of a finger, and then you find your way back. Typically, that game ends 42-10 or 45-3 or whatever it might be, because in the NFL, it's just so damn tough to come back from a deficit like that. But the Saints do come back, and they showed a lot of fight. They showed a lot of grit in that third quarter. Even in the fourth quarter, it just wasn't enough. And even some of the things, Ross, that they needed to get better at, like red zone scoring, I mean, they were great.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, when you look at this game, it's going to be tough to take any value from it, although I do think it is in there. I do think with some of the things that you did, there is value in this game, and we knew this game was going to be the most difficult down the stretch run of opponents that you were going to have. But also, Ross, you know this, when you have a comeback like that and it falls short, that one lasts for about 4 or 5 days after a normal loss.
Yeah, I mean, that'll linger for sure. But I think that one thing that you can walk away from this game feeling really good about if you're a Saints fan is that this team has not given up. They have not quit. I've seen a lot of sort of, accusations around this team. And some of those accusations include, that the roster has given up on the coaching, or that the roster has given up on each other, or that star players are giving up and stuff like that. And that usually tends to be, a fan narrative that happens when a team has a losing record. Like, that's not out of the ordinary. But I think that when you look at what this New Orleans Saints team did in this game against the Detroit Lions, in their ability to come back and make this a game, to lose by only 5 points, losing, that's going to dominate the conversation for many reasons, because that's what's going to matter by the time the season's over. But I think what you saw in that team was a lot of fight. You saw a lot of positive nature from this team. And really, you saw a team that didn't necessarily, after a certain point, kind of stopped getting in its own way. And I think that once they kind of understood what it was that Detroit was trying to do over on the offensive side, then you saw the defense settle in, then you were able to dig yourself out of that 21-point hole, all of that stuff. The biggest thing is, can this team start to figure out what an offense is trying to do before they step out on the field so that they can get these things kind of rolling a little bit earlier, as opposed to dropping to a 21-point deficit and then clawing and scratching way back.
All right, Ross, in this game, we did see Derek Carr go out with injury, gets landed on there. I mean, what do you think it's going to look like as far as a timetable for him? Obviously, he's dealt with injuries all season long and tried to kind of fight back a couple of different times. We know the AC joint was something that he came back quick from. What's the latest you're hearing there? Do we expect, Carr to be able to go out there and play next week, or do you think it's something where he could miss some time?
Yeah, I'll preface with Derek Carr is a tough SUB, man. Like he's one of these guys that like normal timetables aren't usually ones that apply to Derek Carr. So what I'll mention is that, he's in concussion protocol.
Right.
That may be the thing that's going to take, that is so unpredictable, right? There's no specifically designated in-out time for concussion protocol. For instance, we just watched Chris Olave, one of only, I think, less than a handful of players clear concussion protocol in just a week. Right.
Yeah.
Usually it's about 2 weeks or so. We've seen Derek Carr clear concussion protocol over the bye week in time to be there. I think the big concern here for me is that this is his second time in concussion protocol in 4 weeks. That's a little scary, right? Yes. And you're about to go up against a 1-11 Carolina Panthers team. Is there really a reason to rush back here this week, especially with the success that you found with Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill, regardless of who's under center, regardless of who's at quarterback, Derek Carr, Jameis Winston, those guys can get it done. So do you feel a little bit more comfortable giving Derek Carr an extended amount of time to clear protocols to get through all of this stuff? That's going to be a conversation to be had. Now, he's also dealing with a shoulder injury as well as a back injury. We don't know if the shoulder injury is connected to the original AC joint, but that seems likely. So those are going to be two other things we're going to kind of be watching here throughout the day. I expect we'll get an update when we talk to Dennis Allen later on today. But we'll see. Sometimes these things take a little bit of time.
If Carr is not able to go in this game, and you're right, 2 and 4 weeks, I mean, that's kind of scary territory. Mm-hmm. And, throughout my career, I had concussions in different seasons. I don't think I ever had 2 in one season, but I certainly had teammates that went through that. I mean, a guy like Wes Welker was a teammate of mine in Denver. I mean, that was something that really kind of changed his career with the concussions. Then he had to wear a special helmet. I mean, it is something that is very serious, and so that is something to kind of watch. It's not just this concussion. It's going back a couple of weeks and having 2, so it's a great point to point that out. If he's not able to go, what does it look like? Jameis came in. Now, the pass he completed to Chris Olave, two Lions that had an opportunity at that one. In fact, if it doesn't get tipped, I think that Detroit probably goes the other way for 6. But what does it look like? Like, do you expect it to be, hey, Jameis is the guy. He's going to be the quarterback that goes out there. They're going to keep Taysom in the Taysom Hill role, and they're going to go try to beat, like you mentioned, a 1-win Carolina Panther team.
Yeah. I assume that pass, by the way, from Jameis to Chris Olave was sort of the universe paying back the Saints for the Jordan Addison tip and catch against the Minnesota Vikings a couple weeks ago, and probably was what Michael Thomas was referencing when he tweeted that God was with Jameis. And so I think that, like, when you look at this game going into next week, I think you can roll with Jameis Winston as your starting quarterback and then continue to do. I mean, we saw a really heavy rotation of Taysom Hill yesterday, right? I mean, he played 16 snaps at quarterback. I think you can maintain that. I think that should be the Saints' game plan moving through the rest of the season, regardless of who's your starting quarterback, Derek Carr or Jameis Winston. And so I wouldn't be surprised. I certainly have said, and I said it on my show yesterday, and I got roasted for it, but it's fine. That I think that Jameis Winston should start next week. That has nothing to do with Derek Carr's ability. I mean, Derek helped them fight back into this game. Like, maybe if he doesn't get knocked out, maybe even they win the game. I mean, we saw a lot of the fight that we saw from this team started from Derek Carr. And so I give him a lot of credit for what he did yesterday. But with this concussion, not having a need to rush him back, I think it makes sense to just be ready to start Jameis next weekend. And with that, you can run your offense. You know that he has been able to play in your system before. He's won in your system before. You use a heavy dose of Alvin Kamara, use a heavy dose of Taysom Hill, just like you did yesterday. And I think you've got yourself a winning formula in terms of how you can win a game without Derek Carr next weekend. I don't think that a 1-11 team without its head coach is one that you look at and go, well, we got to rush to get our starting quarterback back, right? So that's kind of the way that I look at it. It might be more pragmatic for the last 4 games of the season to actually forego or at least be careful with Derek Carr's return this weekend.
Yeah,
if he clears and everything's good, then fine. You know what I mean?
Right. And when you look at Carolina, they're much better against the pass than they are, stopping the run. And so, there's a game plan certainly that could come together where you do feature the guys that you were just talking about. And, gosh, watching AK run, you can tell, he is trying everything that he has to go out there and put it on for New Orleans, put it on for the Saints. So you can tell there's a frustration there. He tries to hide it, but just – being in locker rooms, seeing guys' body language, he's in it. He is fully in, but you can tell there's frustrations there. And I go back and I just watched the first half. I have not done, on the second viewing. I haven't watched the full game yet, but Cesar Ruiz, yet again, man, he's a guy that really is struggling run blocking right now. And you look across the board, I thought there was times that the tight end position struggled blocking the run. I hate to say this, feels like it's something I'd never say. The fullback position, Prentice, he struggled in the short snaps that he had. He only had, I think, 8 or 9 snaps, but he struggled. There's not a lot there, Ross. You look across the board. There's some guys that are actually, doing their job. Eric McCoy's been fantastic the last, I'd say, 5 weeks in the run game. I Ramcheck to get okay, but there is a lot that is left to be desired out there in the run game. I don't know where to tell these running backs where to go.
Yeah, it's really challenging, and it's interesting to watch because it seems like all the blocking comes together on the Taysom Hill runs because it's a simple gap scheme, right? You go out there and you see the guy that's in front of you, you go block that guy, and they seem to be able to do that really well. And we've seen the Saints kind of transition to being a little bit more of that that man blocking scheme in the run game over the course of the season. Whereas in the past, they've been a little bit more sort of zone blocking. So the difference being man blocking, you're blocking the guy that's directly in front of you. Zone blocking, you're blocking. That's kind of the easiest way to explain it for folks that aren't familiar with the terminology. And so, what you're looking at is, an offensive line that has to move in unison, that has to be in lock. You have that read step off to the side first so that you can kind of read the pressure and the defense and then move there. Maybe that's where the struggle has been. And that's what equates to, look, that's some of Alvin Kamara's best game is in the zone run where he gets to pick a gap, right? Bang, bouncer or bend. And so he does a really good job with all those things, but it doesn't seem like the Saints have been able to protect that very well in the run game. So I think that maybe that's a little bit of something in terms of the disconnection that you're seeing there because they block extremely well for Taysom Hill, but it seems like it's an entirely different blocking scheme and an entirely different blocking sort of set of assignments maybe that leads to that.
Yeah, to Ross's point, they had 36 runs yesterday. They ran 7 outside zones. They ran 10 inside zones, and they didn't have success. The success they had, they came on the power. They ran 4 of them. They ran a counter even. I was excited to see it. I'm like, we're going to get more than one.
It's all counter, yeah.
we got a counter, and we got a couple of different man schemes, and they certainly had more success there. It's just something they've got to realize. They've got to be able to go out there. They're just not great right now, certainly blocking that outside zone, and they've had way more success.
And I will say that being very good as a man blocking team is not a bad thing, right?
No.
That's go out there and punch them in the mouth kind of game plan. That's okay. If you can go out there and you can punch that defensive line in the mouth, go and do that. So there is something to, do they need to get better in the zone blocking scheme, or also do they just need to kind of buy in a little bit more to their ability as a man blocking scheme and just go out there and punch a defense in the mouth for a day?
Yeah, I would absolutely love that. I know for me, I wanted to know, hey, we're going downhill, right? I know exactly who I have. The puller, you're coming for him. I'm reading your block. I'm going to this in-man on line of scrimmage on power. We're going to kick him out. We're going to be physical. So I hope that's something the Saints see and they try to take advantage of next week against the Carolina Panthers. Ross, you're the man. We appreciate your time. As always, look forward to the next conversation.
Yeah, man, real pleasure. Appreciate you having me on. Take care, stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon, bud.
Absolutely. Ross Jackson, one of the absolute best, covers the Saints from every single angle for Locked On there. All right, let's go ahead. Mario's giving me the wrap it up sign. It's just Jake today. As Mario said, we'll be back more OTB.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Go to allstartoyotaofbatonrouge.com, allstartoyotaofbatonrouge.com. Hey, if you want to go to Disney here in early December like T-Bob, and if you saw him doing his show yesterday from the murdered out minivan, you can do that as well, right? It's a great vehicle to take family trips on, but it's also a great vehicle to drive around town, right? If you've got a large family like, some of us do, then it's a great vehicle. Carpool is incredibly easy, right? You pull up the carpool, you hit the buttons, the doors open, they slide open, you get out. It's incredibly family friendly, but they have multiple options, right? They got the 4Runner if you're looking for that midsize SUV. If you're looking for, a sedan, they've got the Corolla, they got the Camry, they got the hybrids as well. So everything is available at Tundra, Tacoma if you're looking for that truck. Also in the rental process. Holidays coming up. If you need something because family's coming into town or you're going to family, check it out today. All-Star Toyota of BatonRouge.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
Join me for a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Denton Day from SiriusXM's College Football Overtime will join us to talk about the playoff, LSU's bowl prospects, and the Heisman Trophy. Hunt Palmer Show 1 to 3 weekdays, 1045 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Hang all the mistletoe, I'm gonna get to know you better this Christmas. And as we trim the tree, how much fun it's gonna be together.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, let's go around the room. The New Orleans Saints, 5-7 right now. Mario hates this. 5-7. They're right now technically behind 2 teams, Atlanta and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay also 5-7. You still have Tampa on your schedule. It's going to be away. I believe that's a New Year's Eve game down in Tampa. And when you look at your schedule, you've got Carolina, you've got the Giants, who are playing better, but still the Giants, at LA, at Tampa Bay, and you finish up with the Atlanta Falcons, who are 6-6. Do the Saints make the postseason, Mario?
I say no. I think they finish 8-9. They miss out on the division title and the wild card. That's my prediction as of now.
I really badly want to say yes, but I'm going to say no as well.
But they'll bring it down to the wire. They will bring your hopes up to the very end until they can't anymore.
Because the Rams are getting better.
Yeah.
Like 2
They
weeks
are.
ago, that
So are
looked
the
like a
Giants.
lot easier game. Yeah, both those games looked a lot easier 2 weeks ago than they are now.
For sure. And I could see Bryce Young have an outlier game in the Superdome just because have like his best game of his rookie season.
Yeah, just because the Giants have won 2 games in a row. We thought that was go ahead and chalk it up as a win. When you look at the Rams, they've won 3 games in a row, right? When they were 3-6, it looked completely different. I'll say this, it comes down to the game. If it comes down to the game in the Superdome against the Falcons, I like the Saints' chances there, but I don't know if it gets there right now. Consider OTB ye of little faith. We need to see a little bit more from the New Orleans Saints. We'll be back, hour number 3 with weekend winners here on OTB.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to patientplusuc.com, patientplusuc.com, and you will see just all the locations that are convenient for you in the Baton Rouge area, because no matter where you're at, they're going to have a location that is convenient for you. They're all about convenience over at Patient Plus. You can schedule that appointment online at patientplusuc.com, but walk-ins are always welcome as well. Now, we've been telling you, you can become a member with unlimited visits for only $20 a month. You can learn more information about that right there. It's the top of the webpage, right there on the top header of it. Just click on that to learn more information. Trust me, you'll want to do that, and it will save you certainly in the long run. But Patient Plus, 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. is another convenience they have for you, because when those unexpected things happen, right, it's never in a convenient time, and that's why Patient Plus stays open 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. That's why they have locations scattered throughout the Baton Rouge area. PatientPlusUC.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Good morning, everybody. It is 9 a.m. on Monday, December 4th. Today in Baton Rouge, expect cloudy skies with a high of 77. Coming up on OTB, we have a new edition of Weekend Winners coming up next, and Hold the Mayo joins the show at 9:15 for a new edition of Spread Lines. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 1045 ESPN channel and subscribe for daily content. Hour number 3 of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
Let we go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah!
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
All right, welcome back in. Hour number 3. Quick show here today, and you probably knew it was always going to be with all the things going on in the sports world. Before we get to weekend winners, and something we'll probably hit after we catch up with Dev, if you're following the transfer portal, some crazy news, some unexpected news today. Ohio State quarterback Kyle McCord has put himself into the transfer portal, and then Dillon Gabriel, Oklahoma's starting quarterback, has put his name into the transfer portal. Now, we've seen some big-time quarterbacks go in. Cam Ward from Washington State, one of the top 5 as far as statistic guys, passing yards in the country. He went into the portal, and that was a big surprise. And he's down, I believe he's Ohio State, I know SC, Florida State, Washington, Oregon, I believe, is another one on his list. And so that was a little bit of a surprise. But Kyle McCord, who is a starting quarterback at Ohio State, has them in a New Year's Six bowl game, was a win away from being in the college football playoff, put himself into the portal. So you're wondering what's going on there. Maybe he got wind of them being, attracted to one of these transfer portal quarterbacks. And again, Dillon Gabriel, remember, started his career at UCF, had a monster year for Oklahoma. Jeff Lebby's gone, though. Jeff Lebby is now, and remember, Jeff Lebby was at UCF, at Oklahoma. I don't know. Dillon Gabriel, start Vegas. Could potentially be it. Now, we said Riley Leonard to Aggie Land. Looks like he might be going to Notre Dame. So we'll follow those stories and more on that. But let's get in to the thing that, we do every single Monday, and that is Weekend Winners.
That's how winning is done.
That's right. We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure. We've got too far.
I'm by winning. I win here and I win there. Now what?
Are you doing what it takes to win a championship?
Wow, winning.
Well, then I guess there's only one thing left to do. What's that? Win the whole thing.
All right. Weekend winner. First one here for me. Anyone who was a fan or is excited about a 12-team playoff. I think this is a weekend winner for you because you will no longer have to sit there and see a team like Florida State get left out of the college football playoff. You won't have to have that debate. And you can argue, well, we're going to have debate between 11 and 13. That's a different debate. Between 11 and 13 than it is having 4 teams. And I'm sure there will be high, times, and we'll go back and forth, and it will be a team from this conference opposed to that conference in the 11 to 13. But look, that's way down the road as far as where you're at in the seeding. So if you're a fan of getting more teams in, and this year would be a hell of a year to have a 12-team playoff, right? It's going to have that NFL feel. It's going to have the team that's playing the best at the right time. It's going to have matchups on campus that we all are looking forward to. Are you going to have some duds in there? Certainly you will. But we've had duds in a 4-team college football playoff, right? It hasn't always been great there. But when you add more games, you'll have more duds, but you'll also have more exciting contests. And you'll have big brands play each other that have never played or haven't played each other in 80 years. You will have matchups that will be exciting. And you'll have teams included that will have the chance to prove that they belong, and they'll have a chance to prove that they can be on the field with the big boys. I cannot wait for it. I've been waiting for it for a long time. Now, 12 seems like a great number. I don't know where we go from here. I don't know in 10 years what it looks like. But 12 right now, having on-campus games, including the group of 5, too, that gets an opportunity to prove that they belong. Sometimes they will, Sometimes they won't. But they have the opportunity. And when you start a football season, 133 teams, and you were only letting 4 in, and basically you had the benefit of the Doubt Club that had advantages already before the season started, that's not crowning a true champion. And now we're going to get a chance to crown a true champion when you go to 12 teams. And so now I'm not saying that teams that have won it are not true champions, but I'm saying now you get the opportunity. There's going to be inclusion for teams that felt like they didn't have a chance to be a true champion. So I'm looking forward to it. And I think this year and this weekend shows why a lot of people are excited about 12-team playoff.
Well said. I was somewhat against it at first, but I've learned to embrace it.
I was the same way. I was like, we fought for 4 for so long. Let's let it play out a little bit longer. Let's see how it goes, because we only had 2, right? 4 seemed like, okay, it's more. Let's see how. No, 12-team playoff now. I'm just like you, Mario. I'm glad we have it.
At the end of the day, at least the champion is being decided on the field, which is what matters most. I'm going to go a little off the grid here for my first weekend winner. Shout out to Southern basketball. They got an upset victory over Mississippi State over the weekend, and it was kind of an epic win. They were down double digits, and they held Mississippi State scoreless the last 4 minutes and 28 seconds of the game, 0 field goals, and they end up winning 60-59. That's a big win for Southern. It kind of makes me sad thinking how bad LSU men's basketball is, but I know a lot of Baton Rouge was happy with that one, including Lady Jag, Miss Judy downstairs.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Shout out to the Jaguars.
All right, so we all love DraftKings, right?
Yep.
Okay, well, if you look on DraftKings, Mario mentioned it earlier, the betting favorite on DraftKings to win the MVP right now is my weekend winner. It's Brock Purdy. Imagine getting those odds at the beginning of the year.
Boy.
Jake, we talked about it during break earlier. I'm tired of everybody talking about how Brock Purdy is a system quarterback, that this is all Kyle Shanahan, that Kyle Shanahan could call a play and it's magically a completion. Brock Purdy is making throws this year that maybe 10 guys on the planet could make. I mean, he's putting the ball right where it needs to be. I get it. Kyle Shanahan can win. Kind of seems like it doesn't matter who his personnel is, but this offense is on an entirely different level when Brock Purdy's out there. I mean, he outdueled Jalen Hurts, who up until yesterday was kind of the runaway betting favorite for MVP. Now Brock Purdy's overtaken him. I mean, he goes 314 yards, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers against arguably the best defense in all of the NFL in the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy, weekend winner for me.
One of the things when people say system quarterback and they think anybody could run the system, that's what bothers me. It also can be, you can be a system quarterback because you run that system better than anybody else could. And I think that's what you have with Brock Purdy. Is there systems that he wouldn't be as good in? Yes, certainly. That's every quarterback. I mean, you're drafted, you're signed most times because you fit what they're trying to get done. And Brock Purdy does that, right? George Kittle's a better player when Brock Purdy's in there opposed to other quarterbacks. He will tell you that. Both of them will tell you that.
Yep.
Both of them will tell you we are at our best when Brock Purdy's the quarterback. And so it's kind of cool to see him get rewarded with, having odds like that. Who knows how it finishes up. But Mr. Irrelevant to the favorite, and we're, 13 weeks into this NFL season. Now he's the favorite to win the MVP. Y'all probably talked about this on Friday. I wasn't here on Friday, so I'm going to throw this into my weekend winners. LSU basketball getting a victory 82-64 over Virginia Tech. And this is a basketball team that's so much fun to watch. And I know they had some stuff go on and you're without players. Coach Mulkey, though, knows exactly what the goal is. The goal is not to be the best right now. The goal is to be the best as you continue to grow throughout the season. The Colorado loss was shocking to a lot of people, but if you listen to Coach Mulkey, she texted T-Bob before the game. Like, this is going to be trouble. It's going to be a game that we struggle in. We don't have a lot of success because we're not there yet, but we will be there. And you're starting to see exactly what she was talking about. Guys, a great scene inside the PMAC. I love how this town supports that basketball team. You drive across town, and when people come in, you have to cover a football game for ESPN, and they're coming in and they're driving around town like, man, y'all support this basketball team like I've never seen before. I mean, the billboards are all these basketball players, and you expect it to be football and baseball, and there are certainly those billboards across town. But yeah, the entire city gets behind this basketball team. It's a lot of fun to watch. Again, the environment was incredible inside the PMAC. So weekend winner to LSU women's team for winning 82-64 in a rematch there of that Final Four matchup.
Build it and they shall come.
Yep.
See that happening with LSU Lady Hoops. Going back to the NFL for my second weekend winner, shout out to the Packers. They've low-key won
Your
four.
boy.
Yeah, Jordan Love, man, playing well. Got the win in Detroit last week. Got the win in Kansas City this Sunday night. 4 out of 5. They're back in playoff position. And Taylor Swift finally saw the Chiefs lose when she was in attendance. So I guess she's a weekend loser too.
I'm going to go weekend loser, bouncing off of Mario there. And, I was going to go college football playoff committee, but obviously we know that. My weekend loser, Jake, if this includes you, I apologize. But everyone that watched the Chargers-Patriots game yesterday
my God.
with a final score of 6-0, just two phenomenal offensive football teams right there. Yep. Bill Belichick has a major problem on his hand. I mean, completion percentage-wise, Haley Zappi wasn't terrible, but 141 yards, only 5 yards per attempt. Ezekiel Elliott was the best offensive player on your team yesterday, and at this point in his career, I'm a huge Zeke guy, but he's the best offensive player on your team. That's not great. I think it's safe to say that Justin Herbert's gotten worse under Kellen Moore this year, which a lot of people didn't think was going to happen. Very bad game overall. I mean, I remember when I was looking on my phone yesterday, I was like, oh, that's a halftime score, like it's got to be, and it was not. It was the final score 6-0. So weekend loser, the offenses of the Chargers and Patriots.
Oof, it was a rainy game, but still 6-0 in an NFL game in the year of our Lord 2023. And look, the Chargers found a way to win a close game, which is something that I thought was impossible. And they're still technically in it, and certainly with the Chiefs playing the way that they're playing and losing games. But that was a tough watch. That was a very tough watch. And unless you're a Chargers fan or a Patriots fan, there was no reason to watch that game. I'm going to go weekend winner here, the Houston Texans. Gosh, man, they're 7-5. And I'll throw the Colts in here as well. They're 7-5. Two teams that were bottom feeders. There's a reason why they took their franchise quarterbacks in this year's draft. Bottom feeders, and looked like they had no pulse. And D'Amico Ryans and Shane Steichen, two guys that I know, respect, and think a lot of, have come in, and they have just completely changed the culture in those two franchises. And that's what a head coach can do, right? Don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid to bring somebody new in, a new voice, because you're holding on to something. You might realize who I'm talking to here, okay? You can bring in the right people to lead your team. And that's what Houston's done. That's what Indy's done. And you watch those teams play, and they are aligned. I mean, they are all together. Those were awful football teams a year ago. I would even say, not just because of the record, Houston more than Indy. Houston was in such a bad situation. And in 1 year, right, you hire the right guy, you draft the right quarterback. Imagine drafting a quarterback in the first round and what that can do for you. And then you're a completely different team. You're a completely different team overnight, basically, it feels like. And those two franchises right now are playing some really good football. They're fun. They're exciting. Their fans are engaged. And they have a real opportunity because when you look at the AFC, Buffalo being 6-6 behind the Dolphins. When you look at Pittsburgh and Cleveland now being 7-5. The Colts and Texans, right, they're behind Jacksonville in their own division. But with the way the Chiefs are playing, they beat the Broncos yesterday. We're talking about the postseason for a team in Houston that had the number 2 pick. Indy had a top 5 pick, and it's because of the new head coach, the culture that they have instilled in the. Anthony Richardson hadn't played in forever, right? He had flashes. You're doing it with Gardner Minshew in Indy, and Gardner is like a great backup quarterback. He's had success in the NFL, but nobody had either one of these teams 7-5. Indy's won 4 games in a row. I know Houston had a loss before last week, but Denver was as hot as anybody coming in. They take care of Denver. Man, these are two young football teams that are exciting to watch.
Also, let's not forget to mention, the Colts are doing it without Gardner Minshew, but basically for the whole year, they've done it without Jonathan Taylor as well. I mean, he missed the first 5 games.
Missed yesterday, too.
He's basically only played 2 games at full strength. He missed yesterday. Zach Moss has been really good for that football team. I know a lot of people were disappointed with what he did in Buffalo. They had high hopes for him. It didn't work out for him for whatever reason. He's been really good in that backfield. He's kind of been a steady presence for him since they hadn't had Jonathan Taylor. So you're doing it without your franchise player in Jonathan Taylor and your first-round draft pick at quarterback. So, great job by Shane Steichen.
Yeah, having a good head coach is important. Both those guys are doing a good job. My last weekend winner, also in the NFL, I wish T-Bob was here for this, but Mitch Trubisky. He's likely going to start for the Steelers next week because Kenny Pickett.
T-Bob would be so excited.
Yes, he'd be hyped. And he filled in for Kenny Pickett after he got hurt yesterday. 11-17, 117 yards and a touchdown. Feels like this is going to be another feather in Mike Tomlin's cap, making the playoffs with Mitch Trubisky. I feel like you can seed with that team. So weekend winner, Mitch.
My last weekend winner.
Wait, he wanted to be, sorry to cut you off. He wanted to be Mitchell, right? Wasn't that the thing?
I think so.
Like he's Mitch Trubisky in college, but wanted to be Mitchell in the NFL. Play better, we'll call you Mitchell.
There you go.
Still Mitch.
More, what they say, sophisticated. Yeah. My last weekend winner, it's going to be the Los Angeles Rams. We've been talking about teams all day long that started slow and they're playing well. They're 6-6 right now, and they're fighting for a wild card spot. Matthew Stafford playing really good football, and that's with Cooper Kupp being banged up all year. I mean, Kupp actually didn't have a great game yesterday. I mean, he had a touchdown, but 6 for 39. Puka Nacua continues to play really well.
Yeah, he got hurt, unfortunately, but he played really well.
Kyron Williams is a really good NFL running back. I mean, he's came out of nowhere this year, and he's been kind of a top 15 running back across the league. They had to come from behind and win yesterday and put up 36 against a Cleveland Browns defense that's kind of been the best defense in the league this year. Stafford playing some of the best football of his career. Los Angeles Rams weekend winners.
I'm going to shout out my hometown, as y'all know I often do. Shout out to the Independence Bowl. You get 2 Power 5 teams in there for the first time in a long time. Texas Tech and Cal. Yeah, 6-6 football teams. I realize that, but it's 2 Power 5 teams. They've moved that game's date up. It's going to be hopefully better attended. I'm trying to think when that game is. I know it's really early in the bowl season. I think it's actually the 16th. That thing's been around Christmas before. That's always very difficult. So hopefully Cal, Texas Tech, primetime game on ESPN. Hopefully it does some numbers. Hopefully brings something good to my hometown because y'all know 318-31 great. This is like a weekend winner, last one here, and a weekend loser because I think we are winners for it, but both teams feel like losers because they're in this game, and that's the Orange Bowl between Georgia and Florida State. 2 really good football teams. Now for Georgia, who plays in that game, who doesn't play in that game will be interesting, but I think they'll have enough firepower. Florida State, I would assume, I could be completely wrong. I assume people will play in that game because they're pissed off, and so you could get Florida State's best. That's one that, again, winner for us as football fans, and we get to see that, loser because they're playing in a game that is not the college football playoff. So, anybody else got anything?
I'm good.
All right, it's going to do it for weekend winners here. Want to remind you about our friends before we get to our guy, Devin Snow over at Rejuvenate. RejuvenateMedical.com is that website. Go to them today if you're feeling a little off and you don't really know what's going on. You know it's something, but you can't put your finger on it. Well, they can absolutely take care of you there over at Rejuvenate Medical. You can get that consultation set up a number of different ways. You can text them at 225-442-0646. You can call them at 855-906-2253. You can get that scheduled online. Get that consultation set up. Request it right there, top right corner of the webpage, rejuvenatemedical.com. So that is Baton Rouge, Houma, Metairie, Prairieville, Shreveport, Slidell, all across the state of Louisiana. We are talking to you again, rejuvenatemedical.com. Get that consultation set up today. Let's go ahead and take that break. When we come back, our guy Hold the Mayo here with some spread lines on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, we're all about local here on OTB, and one of those companies that we are so proud to be partnered with that's all about being local as well is Community Steel. CommunitySteelCo.com is the website. The thing I love about the website was actually a couple of things. One, they've completely redesigned their website. It is set up for your success, easy to navigate through. But the second part that I love about their website, maybe the most important, is it says Gonzales, Louisiana in the biggest, boldest font that you can find on their homepage of their website because they want you to know that they are based in Gonzales, Louisiana. They are local. So you get all the benefits of this national company, but with local roots, local ties, local community, like service. And you get a chance to like call them and talk to somebody that is here in Gonzales, right? Not in Atlanta or Dallas or Houston. You're talking to somebody trying to get something. No, metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal trim. Call that number today, 225-647-2020.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
His name was King. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
I'm Tom Granick with Gil Martin, Wardo's Po' Boys in Natchez, Mississippi. On behalf of the Granick family, we invite you to run, walk, or stroll in the second annual Rudolph Roll. Held on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, this holiday event will kick off at 8 a.m. on December 9th and will include a 10K, 5K, and 1 mile kids fun run. Along with the race, there will be live music, drinks, and of course, Po' Boys. We're looking forward to an even bigger party this year. For more information, please check out the link on Wardo's Facebook page or scan the QR code. Hope to see y'all there.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink.
Charles Hanniger, join us for the Monday edition of Live at Lunch from the BetMGM Sportsbook at the Beau Rivage in Biloxi. We're recapping everything from championship weekend, and we'll have a good idea on the Heisman. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Monday, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
On the first day of Christmas, my mama gave to me a crawfish they caught in Araby.
In the Christmas Picayune, I seen it there in Section E. 2 Jack's recipe.
For the crawfish they caught in Araby.
OTB, OT, with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
All right, welcome back in OTB. It's Monday. Well, I'd say it's 9:15, but it's 9:23. Bad clock management by me. Our guy, Devin Snow, Hold the Mayo, joins us now. Dev, if we remember right, you actually hate that song, and Mario just played it as your kind of theme music coming in.
Yeah, but Mario, I think at this point he's just trolling. That's Mario, bro. What's happening? How we doing?
Hey, some weird vibes in studio today because excited about what the Saints did and the fact that they scored in the red zone, but they still lost the game. They showed fight. They came back. So we got that, portion of it. Excited about the Heisman Trophy. That's now fully gone to Jaden Daniels. That's exciting. But then unbelievable. Unbelievable. And then the college football playoff stuff, a little confusing. Florida State gets left out, even though they were undefeated ACC champs. So, some weird vibes here. I mean, T-Bob's a Disney adult, so he's in Disney right now, so we're riding solo here. But a lot of different things going on, Dev.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'll use a quote from Dennis Allen. We just got to keep chopping wood, and eventually we're gonna break through. I mean, this guy, I'm telling you, dude, when the head coaching thing wound up not working out, he should go write fortune cookies. He'd be a great fortune cookie writer. I'd love to open up a fortune cookie and read a Dennis Allen line.
Dev, anytime any coach says anything about chopping wood, it's not good. That means that you've got an axe that is not sharp. You've got a butter knife basically trying to chop down a tree anytime a coach says anything about chopping wood.
A plastic one too. It's a plastic butter knife. It's not even a. It's dude. I'll tell you what. The two most mind-boggling Saints interviews. You know, those are going to go down in history. That one right there, and then Derek Carr one during the week.
Yeah.
Those two interviews, bro, they were absolutely incredible when you really think about it, man. And people wonder why, like, the fan base just don't like these guys. You can't get nothing good out of them off the field. No solid answers to the questions that we want to know. And to be quite frank with you, man, you know, this is the third game that Derek Carr hasn't finished this season. You know, it's not like this guy is starting it hot. It's taken a while to get going. Again, here goes another half yesterday where he had 81 yards at half. You know, it's just taking too long. Speaking of taking too long, the holding the ball thing, bro, like, it's really, I don't know, man. You can't look at this guy's stats and figure him out. You know, you got to watch the game, bro. You're going to see where the mistakes are happening. But overall, I mean, yeah, we're a 5-7 football team. You know, what you going to do, bro? I'll be there to watch next week. I don't know, like.
Against a one-win Panther team.
Yeah, against a one-win Panther team, which, I mean, dude, what was the score the last time we played the Panthers? We won by
5 field
goal, 3.
Right?
Yeah, it was field goal, yeah. And now Derek Carr, second concussion in a month. I mean, that's nothing to play with. I mean, you start having that many concussions. You have 2 in one season. I mean, that's something that I know I take very seriously. I mean, I had 2 in 2 different seasons, and those things are, you know, they're troublesome sometimes. And so, like, I don't know if he's going to be available this week. And so if he's not, like, you're probably going to get a version of Jameis Winston / Taysom Hill. Now, it should be good enough to beat the Panthers, but Dev, if you lose to a team that's won a singular game here as we're deep into the NFL season, I mean, that has got to be something where somebody's got to pay for that, right?
Somebody.
I don't know who.
And I get it, man. Yeah, well, I get it. It's not going to happen during the season. That's understandable. Because, I mean, who would you know, let's say that they fired Dennis Allen, right? Who's going to be the interim coach? Who? Like,
probably Doug Marrone, I would think, because he's got that experience, probably.
Because I was thinking about that yesterday. I was like, who would do it? Doug Marrone, yeah, that would have to be the one. Because, man, after that, it's hard to find you know. But anyway.
Hey, then he'd win out, Dev, and they'd hire him as a full-time coach.
Yeah. I'm just, hey, bro, you know where I'm at? I'm at this draft coming up is going to be the most important draft. I know we said this before, but this is going to be a very important draft because, yeah, Derek Carr is probably going to be back next year. It's probably going to start. But at least you'll have some dude that you drafted. If you do it at quarterback, you know, that you can bring in, bro, like 6 games of this, you know, something to feel better about, you know?
Dev, we were talking about it before you came on. Look at Houston and look at Indy, right? They're both 7-5 right now. They were hot garbage last year, both of them. Yeah. Franchise looked like it was going to be a decade before they were competitive again. What'd they do? Well, they changed it up. They both went and got new head coaches that I think are going to be stars in this league for a very long time. And they did what? They drafted a damn quarterback in the first round. Like, come on, man. We're sitting here talking about Archie Manning being the last one still for the Saints. Not to say they haven't had great quarterbacks. I mean, they had like almost a 2-decade run with Drew Brees, and they've had the Cajun Cannon. I mean, even shout out to Aaron Brooks for some of the years that he had. I get that, but come on, man. Archie Manning's the last time you drafted. I mean, over 5 decades long since you've done it. This team right now, it has a franchise feel of, hey, we need some fresh. We need some new. We need some life into here. Like, we've been holding on for so long to try to keep this window open. And I get it. I understand, because your franchise was so bad for so long, and you get a taste of success and sustained success for a long period of time. Like, you want to hold on to it. But Dev, man, it has a feel of you need some new. You need some new in here to, get the blood flowing again. Get a young quarterback in here that you can build around. But, you got Derek Carr and his contract situation. I mean, how many resources are you going to have to bring other people in? And will they even do it? That's a question, because I don't think they will.
I mean, dude, they're going to have to take the shot. The Archie Manning stat, yeah, dude, it's just still crazy that they have never taken that shot, and the ones that they've selected in, like, the third round ever, I mean, going back to, like, Danny Werfel and, Garrett Grayson. And
third round pick on Garrett Grayson.
Yeah, dude, it ain't worked out. So I'm sure that they hesitant to even mess with it, but that you can't hesitate no more, man, because what's going to happen is the fans are cheering Taysom Hill when he runs on the field and booing Derek Carr when he runs on the field. That's where we at.
Yeah.
The fans aren't dumb. You can be 17 for 22 with 200-something yards, but, bro, you make critical mistakes, and people love to talk about, oh, well, this wasn't his fault. I mean, at what point do you just take accountability as the leader, man? You want the highest dude's team, bro. Like, this is why we got you, not to start the game out with an interception, no matter what happened. That's not it.
And look,
how many quarterbacks started the game with an interception yesterday?
I think there's one. And here's the deal, okay? You have a coach in Dennis Allen who is top 10 all-time worst winning percentage in NFL history. Okay, hasn't won in 2 different spots that he's been in. I think he's a hell of a defensive coordinator, so no slight at him. It's just some people are built to be head coaches, some are not. And right now it does not look like Dennis Allen. 2 different spots. And Oakland, I kind of hand wave sometimes because I know how dysfunctional that place is, but now it's here in New Orleans as well. And when you give him the option to bring in a quarterback, give a lot of money to, and he picks the guy that he's been with before, okay, that is something where, hey, if this works out, we're going to celebrate you, and if it doesn't, you both got to go type feel. Because you handpicked this quarterback. You knew this quarterback. You were his head coach before, and you told this front office, we can win with this guy as our quarterback. And right now, obvious statement, it's not going the way that it needs to go. You are not getting it done. And so when you make those type of decisions in the NFL, like, you're tied together, and if it doesn't work, well, you're going to be graded off what he does. And every 31 other teams feel like they would make that choice. But with the Saints and where they're at, I just have no confidence that they're going to do the things that we're wanting to see, which is draft a quarterback in the first round, bring in some new blood, get rid of everything that you've been holding on to for dear life that it was attached to Sean Payton. You got to separate it, because you're still trying to hold on to an era in which your coach that you want to hold on to is coaching the Denver Broncos now. He left your team. He went away for a year, did TV so he could go somewhere else, and you're still holding on to pieces and just anything that kind of resembles what he did for you in New Orleans.
And you know what the next thing that's going to happen is? I can't get it out of my mind. I think there's 4 people that are going to that could wind up in Denver. I think Mara is one of them. I think Mike Thomas is another one. I'm not saying all of them. Dennis Allen would be another one. It's just that's how bad things are getting, man, the way I'm worried about some of these guys being like, man, Sean, so much I'm trying to get to Denver,
But you know what, though, man? I agree with you. But at the end of the day, I'll help you pack your bags. I'll drive you there.
Yeah.
Because this team just needs new. That's nothing against anyone that you just said. But, I'll help you. If you want to go there, I'll get you there. Because it just feels like you have to hit reset. And they're just so reluctant to do so. And it's okay. It happens across every NFL team, even the greatest of teams. No matter who it is, that happens. You hit reset because you realize that who you currently have and who you're currently holding on to, it's not going to get to the point that you needed to get to. And so you start over. It doesn't have to be a complete start over where you get rid of everybody? Maybe you hold on to, like, I'd love to see Alvin Kamara still be with this team. I would love to see some of these pieces. Right. Taysom Hill, I think, has a role. The defense certainly has pieces that would make sense. You have a young core there that could really, I think, thrive in a new situation with some new faces around this franchise. Every franchise would do it. I don't know why the Saints are reluctant to do so. It feels like they just do not want – they'd rather be 8-9 than have 1 year where they win 4 games, but the next year they're better because of it.
Yeah, they're so scared of that. Yeah, and look, the fans don't help because the fans, we see a team win 4 games all year, bro. It's going to be an emotional
I know it's hard because the Saints have been good for – 16, 17 years, right? And look, I grew up a Saints fan when the Dome Patrol was there. I thought that's the best that it will ever get. The Saints will never get above this. And then not only do they get above that, they win a championship and sustained success. And you win the division so many times, and you get to the playoffs, and you have a chance to get back to the Super Bowl. Yet one of the worst calls in NFL history keeps you out of that. But so I get why you hold on to it. But every great thing comes to an end, and this thing has hit a roadblock.
Oh, yeah. It's over with, dude. So, I don't know, bro. It is what it is. I'm at the point where I'm kind of at peace. The Saints had so many opportunities this season. They had an easy schedule, and guess who's got the easy stretch now for the rest of the season?
Yeah.
The Falcons.
Yeah.
So, they played the Jets yesterday, bro. You ain't got to be a great team to beat the Jets by a few points. They're not going to score. We had the opportunity this year. It just seems like it's just not, like, if you ask me, are the Saints going to get in the playoffs?
Yeah.
I'd tell you no.
Yeah, we went around the room and we all three said no.
I've seen enough to tell me, hey, something's going to happen where they let us down. So it's whatever, man. I'm glad Jaden Daniels is winning the Heisman, man. And we'll look back on that in 2023 as a highlight moment for Louisiana sports. Even Tulane and get it done, and we losing Willie Fritz.
I know. We're gonna get. That's gonna be tomorrow. We're gonna talk about a lot of stuff going on today. Willie done left us. Yep. Willie and Miss Susan out of New Orleans into Houston, which I don't know. I know they got a lot of money over there, but it feels like a better situation.
Why is he doing it? Because he's out or something? Is that the determining factor?
Dude, what'd you say? You cut out there, Deb.
Oh no, I heard his daughter's living out there or something.
I think I heard some of the similar. And look, Houston's got deep pockets, and look, they're in a Power 5 conference. They're in the Big 12, and Willie last year, Georgia Tech was a real situation, and he wanted to coach the bowl game, which I appreciate. And he went out there and he did that, and Tulane had another hell of a year this year. I know they didn't go their way on Saturday, but it's an interesting move just because I think Tulane right now is set up for better success than Houston. But yeah, not great. Look. I know this is a Debbie Downer, but you're right. Jaden Daniels looks like he's going to win the Heisman Trophy. The Pelicans right now are the 8th seed, so we can talk about that maybe getting us excited. The Saints just bringing us no excitement, but it is Monday, Deb. I know we probably don't know exactly where we're going, but you need to go somewhere pretty good today to try to help some of these feelings you have about the Saints.
Yeah, I know this. I don't know where I'm going today, but I do know that next weekend I'm traveling. So
you know where you're traveling? You're just like, I'm just going somewhere.
I'm thinking Opelousas. Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay.
If you ask me today, I think, Opelousas. Something about Opelousas is just be Opelousas. Maybe go get in a low budget hotel out there, stay out there a couple days, and see what we got going on.
Spend a couple days in Opelousas. I can appreciate that. I can appreciate you hanging out in Opelousas. Man. Okay. We'll see if you can, look, no shade at Opelousas. I love Opelousas. Maybe a motel, not a hotel. It's a different situation going to be there, Dev. All right, Dev, you're the man. We appreciate it as always. We'll be on the lookout to see where you end up today, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Hey, another thing, GTA 6 trailer drops tomorrow, man. This might be the last one I get to play until I'm 50, so I'm excited about that.
As you should be. Devin Snow, our guy, Hold the Mayo, joins us every single Monday here for some spread lines. Let's go ahead and take a break. More OTB when we hop back.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
His name was King. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
Priced so amazingly low, low, low.
With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Join me for a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Denton Day from SiriusXM's College Football Overtime will join us to talk about the playoff, LSU's bowl prospects, and the Heisman Trophy. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
OTB, OT, with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
Remind you to go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app. You want to play that pontoon parlay, DraftKings Sportsbook app. Promo code Baton Rouge. NBA season's here, so you put in that promo code Baton Rouge your first time signing up, and you bet $5 on the NBA. You get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Y'all, that is the DraftKings Sportsbook app. And remember, if you're a returning customer, they got all kinds of great game day deals going down for you every single NFL game day. So join up with the boys on the pontoon parlay on DraftKings. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537. Must be 21 or older. Physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms.
All right, welcome back in. OTB. Yeah, the Willie Fritz news, something we hadn't gotten to yet here on the program just because so many different things going on in college football, the way the Saints game went, Jaden Daniels being the Heisman front runner, but they lose the game to SMU in their conference championship 26-14 over the weekend, and then they lose Willie Fritz to Houston. And those rumors have been around for really weeks now. It's no real surprise, almost like they were waiting for Tulane to play in this conference championship game, and then they were going to make the announcement. And although I'm disappointed that Willie Fritz decides to leave Tulane to go to Houston, because, again, I think Tulane right now, certainly with a 12-team playoff, they're in a really good spot. That football program over the last 2 years has been a lot of fun to watch, and they've become nationally relevant. Houston is not, but deep pockets, Big 12 conference, and all those things, Willie Fritz decides. And look, Willie Fritz has done it the hard way. I mean, Sam Houston State, Georgia Southern, Tulane. I mean, he has earned the right to go challenge himself to be a Power 5 head coach. And again, one of my absolute favorites. Shout out to Miss Susan, by the way. She is a P1 to off campus in the afternoons. And so great family, great football coach, and going to get a chance to coach there in the Power 5. So I do wish him all the luck in the world, but I think Tulane's a place that has really set themselves up for the future. I'll be interested to see who they can get down to New Orleans. Do they go someone that's on the staff because they've had this run? Do they say, you know what, we're in a great position? They were going to, I think, offer Willie Fritz like $4.5 million to stay. Go offer that to somebody else. Go see who you can pry away. What does that look like? I don't know. I don't know where you go. Maybe, Troy, you get someone, maybe you can get somebody like that to go from the Sun Belt to the American. He's a hot coaching candidate, and you have the resources. You've got the proof on the field. You've been a really good program. I'd like to see them shoot for the stars, right? Shoot for somebody that would be relevant, and I'm not saying chase a name, but somebody that the entire country could kind of, understand that Tulane means business about football and not go back to who they were.
Yeah, 100%. I think they have some attractiveness as a job right now. Like, they have some, resources. It's a really good academic institution. Like, you're going to have the ability to get players, good region to be in. I don't know. We'll see if they can get somebody good, but I really hope they can, man. It's unfortunate. They have a lot of positive momentum right now, even with Fritz leaving.
Yeah, I get it. And you're right, Jake. Like, Tulane's set up for success better than Houston, but a lot of that's because of Willie Fritz. Like, Houston overall, probably a little bit better program. They're going to be in a better conference. He's stepping up in competition. But yeah, I'm with you. I'd like to see Tulane go after somebody who has a fairly decent resume. Maybe somebody who, just got let go at a bigger school because, they fell off a little bit. A name that came to my mind was Dino Babers. I mean, he's a guy that overall has a winning record as a head coach, had some success at Syracuse. He just couldn't sustain it long term. I mean, somebody like that kind of mold, like, has been there, done that, has proven he can win. Just try to give him the best position you could put him in that conference to be successful.
Yeah, Slade Nagel is going to be the interim coach here, offensive coordinator Slade Nagel, in their bowl game. And so we'll see where the Green Wave go. But again, that job is much better than when really Fritz got there. He left it in good position. So disappointed that he's not going to be in New Orleans, but certainly wish him well there in Houston. All right, let's go ahead and take our last break of the show. When we come back, we're going to wrap it up like we do every single day here on OTB with some Ask the Bench, brought to you by Cola Cruise Light, Vizzy Hard Seltzer, Blue Moon, Light Sky, Citrus Sweet.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com, All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. Something for everybody over at All-Star Toyota, right? Full-size SUV. You got a big family. You got the car seats. You got the sports equipment in the back. And maybe you're taking a trip and you got the luggage. Now, you have a couple of options. You got the Sienna minivan, which we probably talk about the most here on the show, but you also have the full-size Sequoia that would certainly fit your family needs. You can find that. You can find the 4Runner, the Highlander. Highlander is something that I drive every single day, right? And it gets me around town. The family's comfortable in the Highlander. So check out those midsize SUVs. Trust me, more space in there than you would imagine. The Coma, the Tundra, if you're looking for a truck. as you can see, no matter what your lifestyle is, no matter what your family needs are, they've got you covered over there, buying new, leasing, and renting per day rental prices. You can check out those per day rental prices again on their webpage, All-Star Toyota of BatonRouge.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Step inside an Infiniti QX50, and you'll find a suite of driver-focused features tailored to your taste.
Charles Hanniger, join us for the Monday edition of Live at Lunch from the BetMGM Sportsbook at the Beau Rivage in Biloxi. We're recapping everything from championship weekend, and we'll have a good idea on the Heisman. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Monday, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB, OT, with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
All right, welcome back in. Ask the Bench, brought to you by Cola Coors Light, Vizzy Hard Seltzer, Blue Moon, Light Sky, Citrus Wheat. This comes from our guy, Nook. Ask the Bench, do we undervalue how much fun these debates are? Championship weekend meant nothing this year if we have 12. I still think it means something, Nook. It still means seeding. It still means, where you're going to end up. Could you potentially, just like in the NFL, could you host a playoff game, right? That's what you want to do. You want to host a playoff game at your stadium. And so, yes, seeding does matter because, again, remember, you're playing those games on campus. So let's say, if you're LSU and if you win the game, it's in Baton Rouge. If you lose, you got to go to Penn State in December. I think that does matter. I mean, certainly for teams in the South, like having to go to cold weather places and elements that they're not used to playing in. So the intrigue is different. I know what you're saying because it was fun over the weekend to debate who was getting in, who was going to get left out. But I still think with the home games and not being a neutral site, that's what adds the intrigue to the new playoff system.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but like I said earlier, at the end of the day, you're going to avoid situations like what happened to Florida State, which is outrageous. So I'm all for it.
Ask the bench how many other clients were Central Plumbing able to get thanks to T-Bob being on vacay. Thousands. Thousands of customers. Now the T-Bob is in Disney enjoying, he calls it ass beer. He said it's a real beer in Epcot. Sure.
Which country?
Norwegian, maybe, is what he says. I don't know. I'll have to go back and check the tape. Again, I'm surprised he didn't call in at some point today. Ask the bench, favorite kind of cookie?
Oreo.
Okay.
Undefeated.
Chocolate chip. I got to go basic.
Sugar. Any cookie, though, will get demolished. All right, it's going to do it for us today. Join us tomorrow. Same setup, same crew, same time, same place for OTB. We'll see you then.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find him on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and